Wow, just breathtaking. The stadium is yellow to its core. There is the odd pocket of red representing Switzerland. But there are 100,000 Colombians in and around Vancouver, and they've taken over the 54,000 capacity BC Stadium for this one, that's for sure. They were Copa America finalists in 2024. They missed out on Qatar in 2022, and they haven't reached the quarterfinals since that loss to Brazil in 2014, a tournament where James Rodriguez was at the centre of it all with his 6 World Cup goals. It's an 11th start in the World Cup for him today, and the 131st cap, which means he takes over at the top ahead of David Ospina in terms of the most capped Colombian. The problems mount for the Swiss. Johan Manzambi has been fantastic since his dramatic entrance against Bosnia and Herzegovina in the group stages. There's doubts over Ruben Vargas and Djibril Sow, neither of whom completed training yesterday too. Hence the changes to the Swiss lineup today. Cabell is in goal, a back four of Rodriguez, Akanji, Elvede and Zakaria, and it's Freuler, Xhaka and Jashare who go across midfield. Just to say, Jashare has played 2 minutes of World Cup football in his 2 appearances across the last 2 tournaments. It is his first competitive start today, which gives you an indication of where Murat Yakin has ended up having to think outside the box for this fixture. Rida and Ndoye make up the wide areas, and Bolo will lead the line, and he will need help there today against this stubborn Colombian defence that's only conceded 1 goal so far in this competition. Vargas is in goal for them. Munoz you'll be familiar with from Crystal Palace. Twice he's found the back of the net in this World Cup so far. Davinson Sanchez alongside John Lukumi at the heart of the defence, and it's Johan Mojica who will play at left back. Gustavo Puerta, Jefferson Lerma, another Crystal Palace player in midfield alongside John Arias, who was less than spectacular for Wolves in the early part of the season. And then James Rodriguez, Luis Diaz and Luis Suarez, who will be up front for this Colombian side. Ivan Barton is the man in charge. He is now a viral sensation. There are plenty of dance remixes featuring his famous VAR call after he sent off Miguel Amaron for covering his mouth. He's looking after things, and Guillermo Pacheco, the Mexican, is in charge of VAR for this one today. And the former England striker Dean Ashton is alongside. Who is going to get that final berth in these World Cup quarterfinals?
Well, listening to those national anthems, it feels like a home fixture for Colombia. So Switzerland are going to have to overcome that. Of course, Colombia missed many chances already in the tournament. They can't afford to allow them to have many more because they have got players that can hurt you. I think 2 teams that are so well matched. It really is going to come down to, I think, 2 or 3 key moments in the game.
There's no doubt in this World Cup the Swiss are on a roll. They've won 3 consecutive matches at a World Cup for the first time, and along with France they are only one of 2 European sides to reach the knockout stages of the last 6 major finals. Can Murat Yakin get them into a first World Cup quarter-final in 72 years? He's in charge of his 9th World Cup game today, and so far he's managed to secure victory on 5 occasions. The Colombians, though, they're on the march too. Finished 3rd in qualifying. They beat Brazil, they beat Argentina. They had the worst defence in those qualifiers. However, they've sorted themselves out for the World Cup. There's 1 spot in the quarterfinals up for grabs, and the countdown is on, and we are underway with Colombia in their yellow shirts, white shorts and white socks, kicking from right to left in this opening 45 minutes. And it's all red for Switzerland, kicking from left to right, and a very slow start from Camilo Vargas away to our right hand side in that Colombian goal, but the noise from these Colombian supporters is extraordinary.
Magnificent, isn't it? Unless of course you are part of Switzerland's team, but they've got plenty of experience. That's one thing they have got, Switzerland. That's why Manzambi will feel like such a big miss. He's that fearlessness in the side. Who's going to take up that role for Switzerland this evening?
Well, you talk about experience. We've already touched on Granit Xhaka. Ricardo Rodriguez has started every game in a major tournament since the 2014 World Cup. It's his 31st consecutive major tournament start for Switzerland today. It's just extraordinary, the regularity, the fact he stays fit for all of them as well, and he's in at left back as ever for Switzerland. I think we're going to get a lot of this today, a lot of booing from the Colombian supporters every time the Swiss have possession midway inside their own half, as Akanji looks to play the ball to Rida, who looks to have started out wide on this right hand side for Switzerland.
Yeah, it does. We wondered how they would set up. I think that midfield area just slightly different. Freuler will tend to sit deeper, and Xhaka and Jashari a little bit more advanced, or Xhaka will sit and Freuler will go forwards. They're very good at swapping those roles.
Elvedi forced to give it back to George Cabello to our left hand side in the Swiss goal. Nico Elvedi has been excellent throughout this tournament for Switzerland. Here's Luis Diaz, first touch for him. Early ball into the penalty area here for Colombia. It's cleared away by Denis Zakaria, the right back. Volleyed forward towards the edge of the box again, looking to try and pick out Luis Suarez, who was waiting. And that left-footed ball forward by Lukumi is into touch, and it will be a throw-in for Switzerland. And the Colombian supporters are already making some real noise around this stadium, which has one of the suspended roofs. It's a retractable roof, but it's a suspended one. It's fairly unique. There's a late addition to the stadium, ready for the opening and closing ceremony of the Winter Olympics held here previously, but it certainly helps create some noise.
Yeah, fantastic atmosphere, as we've seen so often in this tournament. And Colombia, of course, coming in with such a great defensive record in this World Cup, 3 clean sheets in their last 3. I think Switzerland must have talked about, well, what if we score first? How will they deal with adversity?
Zakaria down this right hand side, just trying to get the better of Luis Diaz, who's back doing the defensive work. Oh, he's cut inside, got it into the penalty area, but it's dealt with there by Lukumi, and away by Mojica up this near touchline. We get a second header in here under pressure, and a foul in the end is given. Freuler with the challenge. It was a bit of a soft one, but it will be a free kick for Colombia midway inside their own half.
Yeah, but look out for Denis Zakaria getting down the right hand side. He was a real feature in their previous game, having the freedom to get forwards, especially with Fabian Rida on that right hand side. He'll really tuck in at times as well, used to playing in a number 10 role, so he'll drift in and allow Zakaria the space to run.
There's of course the third World Cup for Zakaria. He's experienced now at Monaco. Here come Colombia. You can tell by the sound of the crowd. Early ball across the box towards Luis Diaz, and there's the aforementioned fullback who has to do the defending and puts it behind for a corner. And Luis Diaz is the chief cheerleader, which just encourages the Colombian supporters to make some more noise, if that was even possible.
I really like that ball in though, right in behind the Swiss defence. Luis Diaz waiting for his tournament, I think, to really take off. He was a little unlucky not to get in front of Zakaria there. And as is usual practice, first set play, referee goes and tells everyone what they already know.
Yep, he's told Luis Diaz off here. James Rodriguez delivery into the box is headed up in the air by Mbolo, and it will be brought clear on that left hand side by Dan and Doy, and there's a foul. Ivan Barton last time out gave around 29 fouls in his officiating, so he may be a little bit finicky. The man from El Salvador who's in charge. We've had 5 minutes on TalkSport, and it's Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. We was wondering how we can even attempt to follow up the drama from earlier. If you have been away from your radio and away from civilization, Egypt were 2 up with about 15 minutes remaining against Argentina and ended up losing 3-2. That man Messi, unsurprisingly, all over it again. He did miss a penalty though. He's actually missed 4 penalties in his the 80s taken in World Cup, says Messi, so he is human after all. Here's Rodriguez into the box, and the early shot, I think would have been offside on Doy. In fact, he was offside as he fired that shot in that was comfortably saved by Camilo Vargas away to our right-hand side.
He's been another positive though for Switzerland in this tournament. Brandon Doy. It was a decent little touch from Freuler into him. Just straight offside, but he still swiveled, side volleyed into the floor, but straight into the hands of Vargas.
Yeah, he got the second goal in that win against Algeria in the round of 32. In the World Cup, the round of 16 has very much been a sticking point for Switzerland. The round of 16 in 5 of the last 6 World Cups. They got hammered by Portugal in Qatar, you might remember, by 6 goals to 1. Today, possibly their best chance, as we say, to get to the quarterfinals in 72 years. Now, the referee not happy here for a late challenge on Nico Elvedi, and it's Luis Suarez who's getting the talking to. Suarez, who had funny ends to the qualification campaign, scoring 4 goals in 1 game in his one of his 2 appearances.
Yeah, and just barging into Elvedi as he played that ball wide, but what a great feature that has been with one of the new rules coming in, players not just staying down, having to get up rather than go off for a minute. I think that's really improved things.
Yeah, I think most of the new rules have been good, apart from those that suddenly get amended by FIFA halfway through tournaments after phone calls from presidents. Here's Rodriguez on that far side, down the left-hand touchline. He's closed out by Arias, who's working hard to try and win possession back for Colombia. It comes to Freuler. To the right-hand side is Zakaria. He's off the angle of the penalty area. Infield again to Freuler. Xhaka towards the edge of the box, but the pass just running away that time from Jashari, and that's run into touch on this near side for what will be a throw into Colombia, and it won't actually. It's been given the way of Switzerland, much to the annoyance of Luis Diaz.
Yeah, energy though, isn't it? Colombia are out of possession. They're sitting off slightly, allowing Akanji and Elvedi possession, but as soon as that goes into midfield, really snappy with their defensive work.
Here's Mbolo towards the edge of the penalty area. Mbolo gets it back, trying to spin and turn was Freuler, but cleared away by Arias out wide to this left-hand side. Luis Diaz on halfway. The Colombians trying to counter quickly here. The ball into the feet of James Rodriguez, who loses possession, and it's back here with Mojica on this near side. Does well, keeps the ball under pressure, feeds the ball infield that time to Gustavo Puerta. To the right-hand side he goes, where he picks out the advancing Davinson Sanchez. They keep the ball on halfway with Arias back towards the edge of the centre circle, and it's James Rodriguez with time on the ball. He's kept it, and then finally he's challenged, and he's challenged legally, but Colombia still keep possession. Here's Puerta. Forward he comes, the man at Racing Santander. He was at Hull actually and was due to join Hull before they were placed in a transfer embargo. Quite impressive when he played for them. But that move got cancelled, as it would have been a very different story for him in terms of where he'd be playing football next season, of course, with them being promoted to the Premier League. Here's Granit Xhaka midway inside his own half, under pressure. They're pressing well here, Colombia, all the way back to Kubel. Elvedi inside his own box, out to Xhaka at the edge of his penalty area. They're playing out with some trepidation and danger here, are Switzerland, and it's taken off the toes of Jashari in the middle of the park by Arias, who started really brightly.
Well, I think both teams have already shown just in a few patterns of play that they're confident with the ball at their feet. James Rodriguez is another one of those players where people may think, well, does he constantly deserve to play every game? But what I really like about him is when he does slow it down, he gives time for the likes of Munoz and Mojica to get up and support and make runs in behind. He doesn't just slow it down for the sake of it. He's always got his head up. James Rodriguez.
10 minutes played on Talk Sport. It remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Argentina await in the quarterfinals for the winners of this tie. That was a poor ball forward by Davinson Sanchez from the edge of the penalty area onto this left-hand side. Luis Diaz was the player he was trying to pick out. Switzerland have got possession down this near side and they look to build from halfway, but again the ball is up in the air on the halfway line. Rida tries to go in and win it out of play for a throw to Colombia right in front of their dugout, and there's frustration and fury, I think you would say, from Suarez.
Yeah, he's disgusted that Elvedi has trodden on the back of his heel and his boot has half come off. It's not really what the referee is bothered about. He felt Elvedi got the ball, but it's so competitive in the middle of the pitch. So many bodies at the moment, all the space out wide being so contested in the middle.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? There are a lot of bodies in the middle of the park and not too much width on offer at this moment in time for either side. Xhaka encouraging Zakaria to come forward over halfway down this right hand side, but then Mbolo, as soon as he gets the ball, looks to turn in field into where all that traffic is, then loses possession, and the ball forward down this left hand side is a free kick that's won by Luis Diaz. The challenge from Nico Elvedi, and Diaz finally happy as he's won a free kick.
Really clever though from Luis Diaz, just checks his shoulder just to see Elvedi coming in on his right hand side, takes a good touch and then just a quick flick around him, takes the body check, and the free kick. I was asking the question to the referee whether that was deserving of a yellow card, but just clever play from him.
James Rodriguez is over this free kick out wide on the left hand side. He created 56 chances in qualifying for this Colombian side. It's one of the reasons why Nestor Lorenzo has in essence built the team around him. Some say he's a passenger, but his left footed ball in is decent towards the head of Lukumi, who didn't get the shot away, and then it is poked back into the danger zone, and Cabell will be able to grab it at the edge of the 6-yard area. Not quite able to test the keeper, who responded by gathering that ball well.
Oh, it's a great ball though from James Rodriguez, because he just tempts Cabell with the starting flight of the ball, and then he just curves away from him in towards his attackers. Cabell had to then backtrack. Brilliant header from Xhaka it was, from the middle of the goal.
131st cap for Rodriguez today. Top of the tree, second in the scoring charts as well, of course. Falcao with the most at 36 as that ball's played into the Colombian penalty area, and Davinson Sanchez has to get back and do some defending, which he does, and he puts it behind for a corner to Switzerland on the left hand side, their first of the game.
Well, it may be 31 competitive tournament games for Ricardo Rodriguez. He still looks the same, and he still does the same thing, which is charge down the left hand side and whip a great ball in that needed to be defended out for a corner.
15 years after Rodriguez's debut, and he's still doing it week in, week out, and tournament out for this Switzerland side. Here's the corner, and it's headed away by Davinson Sanchez, and the aforementioned Ricardo Rodriguez with the foul at the edge of the penalty area on James Rodriguez, and it will be a free kick for Colombia at the edge of their box.
And the game is, as I thought it would be, just so evenly contested. It's going to be those key moments, might be a set play. You can see they've both got quality players in their side, not just one or two, but a team full of them.
I'm not sure James Rodriguez looks at all different from what he looked like in 2014 when he was knocking all those goals. He looks very youthful for a man who's kind of aged 12 years since then.
Are you saying that you want to know his skin routine?
I would love
is that
to.
What you're getting at?
I would love to. I think
so would I.
He's still got some freckles going on as well at the age of 34, of course. He was 22 when he burst onto the scene with those terrific goals in Brazil. Well, that's a lovely little touch. And now a ball is slipped through towards the run that's been made by Diaz down the middle, but couldn't quite get there. And Colombia just starting to show some of the flair that we witnessed. I must admit, the game against Portugal that finished 0-0 was one of the best group stage 0-0s I've seen for a long, long time. It was end-to-end football.
Oh, it was so much fun, wasn't it? And you're right, just starting to show a bit of flair, Luis Suarez it was, with the back heel to James Rodriguez, who almost found Luis Diaz, who was making that run in behind. Lovely football.
Bit of criticism has come the way of Néstor Lorenzo, the Colombian coach, of course, the former Argentinian who played in that 1990 World Cup. He just about the freedom that he gives to Luis Diaz, because I think one of the things that Diaz has talked about under Vincent Kompany is that he's trusted and he's allowed to basically go where he wants and do what he wants. But I think Néstor, some of the supporters have been a bit critical that he doesn't give Diaz that freedom, and that's just inhibiting Diaz a little.
Yeah, he feels like he wants that genuine structure to his side, a bit like that Argentinian 1990 team.
Yeah, very much so. 60 years of age now, Néstor Lorenzo. The funny thing was, after that World Cup final in 1990, the next competitive game he played was for Swindon Town, when he was playing for Ozzy Ardiles, before eventually leaving Swindon after he fell out of favour with Glenn Hoddle. Football's a funny old game sometimes. Chase on down this left-hand side once more. It's Mojica that's got forward from that left-back position, but it's well defended by Sicario on this near side, and it's out of play for what will be a goal kick to Switzerland. We've had 17 minutes on TalkSport then. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. First half goals were fairly tricky to come by in the first few games of this round of 16 at this World Cup. Egypt scored one, of course, today to get themselves ahead against Argentina before losing 3-2 in an absolute World Cup classic that you heard live on TalkSport from Atlanta. We're hoping for more of the same here, but that's a poor pass forward towards Rodriguez of Switzerland from Xhaka. Very rare he hits a poor pass, and out for a throw to Colombia midway inside their own half on the far side.
Well, of course, with the knockout games there is that fear of going home, playing against better opposition, having to work each other out in the opening stages of the game. But it's had plenty of energy coming up to near 20 minutes, plenty of energy within the two sides, both trying to play their way through, create.
This game, of course, Vancouver-wise, 8 hours behind the UK, so it's a 1 o'clock lunchtime kickoff. Last of the 7 games in Vancouver. The rest of the tournament, the quarter-finals, semi-final and final, of course, all taking place in the United States of America. And once turned around the corner on that far side, where it's then back inside Colombian territory, and it's pushed forward by Jefferson Lerma. Here is Munoz, back over halfway for Colombia, inside their own half with Davinson Sanchez this time, who's picked out Lukumi. Here is Lerma, now working it nicely, this time through Puerta. Colombia happy to keep the ball, there's good movement. Diaz has tucked in and come off that left flank. It's allowed a little bit of room there for Mojica to get forward. And now inside the penalty area, Arias trying to chase it down on the right-hand edge. His opposite number, Ndoye, is back doing the defending. And they've done it well, and they're going to play their way out of trouble here from inside their own penalty area. Despite a really high and good press from Colombia, they didn't want to go long. Eventually the keeper did, and Mbolo can't get possession and Colombia win it back.
No, it was calm in the way that they got themselves out of a situation there, Switzerland, with good technical players that trust each other. Even the goalkeeper, he's taking it in turns at the moment to have an attack and the other team sit there and defend in a really good shape.
Here is Arias on the right-hand side, the former Wolves man, now at Palmeiras. In total across the two clubs, 6 goals in his 46 appearances throughout last season. Only 2 goals of those come for Wolves in his 26 appearances. Munoz with the ball midway inside the Swiss half on the right-hand side, and the Crystal Palace fullback just feeds the ball into the feet of Lerma, his Palace teammate. To the left he goes, where he finds Johan Mojica, and as James Rodriguez tries to win it back in the middle of the park, Colombia do win it back, but it's Lerma who sets up Diaz. Now edge of the penalty area, bending shot is well saved by Cabal. It's an effort from Gustavo Puerta, right-footed, bending in towards that top corner, and George Cabal leapt to his left and turned it round the post for a corner.
Yeah, excellent, winning the ball back. It was James Rodriguez, and then one touch play between Lerma and Luis Diaz, and then that arcing shot. Poeta was certainly going to find the back of the net. Nobel with a decent parry away with both hands.
He made his debut against New Zealand in 2025, Poeta. He scored 3 minutes into that debut. He's not found the back of the net since, and it's his 11th international today. The corner is swung over and headed down again and away at the near post by Freuler this time. Comes out to Arias on halfway. It's Munoz for Colombia as they look to build again, almost at the midway point of the first half on TalkSport. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. World Cup Sports Bar coming up after we're done in Vancouver. I don't know if you managed to get sight of last night's sports bar.
Oh, I did.
I think the Mexicans had it. He was having real issues with his tash, or was Jason Cundy during the opener, that's for sure. To be fair, I think he had more hair on his top lip than he's got on his head at the moment, while he's still growing, as they say. Not that either of us
I think O'Hara said he thought he looked good. He looked really good.
They'll be back once we're done. And a little while, a lovely bit of build-up play here by Colombia, but then that's the issue with James Rodriguez. It was all nice, but he just didn't quite have the pace to get on the end of the 1-2 that had been laid out for him. But they're controlling things, Colombia, and then at that point, Diaz hits a first-time pass from halfway, and it's straight to the feet of Zakaria on this near side. But I certainly feel like the South Americans are on top at the moment, Bill.
Yeah, they've taken control of the game with the pressure. They've got 10 yards further up the pitch. The energy levels, I think, are just a little bit higher than Switzerland, but again, they won't panic, Switzerland. They've got the experience.
Hydration break time as we approach the 23rd minute of this round of 16 game in Vancouver. Switzerland 0, Colombia. Switzerland have yet to have a touch in the opposition penalty area, which probably signifies what we've seen from the Colombians so far. This gives us a chance to remind you of what's coming up across the TalkSport network, live football-wise. Of course, there is a day off tomorrow. What are we going to do without any football all day?
You tell me.
I know.
Re-watch them, re-listen to them.
That's a good plan. You can, of course, hear TalkSport Drive. I believe Goldstein and Bentner are off to Miami. Everyone seems to be going to Miami right now, so they will be there tomorrow afternoon from 4 o'clock. The football is back on Thursday night. France against Morocco in the first of the quarterfinals. That gets underway 9 o'clock UK time. Friday night it's Spain against Belgium. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff UK time. And of course, on Saturday, England against Norway, 10 o'clock from Miami. All the build-up throughout the day across TalkSport, and then the final game is on Sunday morning, a few hours after, at 2 a.m. and that will be between Argentina, of course, and the winners of this tie here, which at the moment look like being Colombia. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because this is only, I think, their third World Cup in this century, Colombia. I always think of them as kind of almost, they were kind of ever present during the 90s, but they just seem to have lost their way in recent times. But this looks a really good Colombian side with some real quality.
Yeah, it does. It feels like they have been building towards this, especially with the Copa America final. And you look at the squad as a whole now, I think there's a lot more depth in this Colombia group. I think there's still more to come as well. When you think of the chances that I've seen them miss in this tournament, if they'd have taken them, I think we would have been talking more about Colombia. And if they were to convert some of those and get through to the next stage against Argentina and then do something incredible and beat the holders, you know, you're talking about this group for a long, long time.
But I think their biggest issue in recent times has been since Falcao finished, it's kind of finding that figurehead, and we've touched on the chances they create and the lack of goals that they've scored. But you look at the consistency of Switzerland as well across major tournaments, it's quite ridiculous, really. The kind of breadth that they're getting mentioned in, they are just so solid without being able to make that next step forward.
Yeah, you're right, that consistency of playing in so many tournaments and being able to reproduce those players of such a high level, yet without without maybe having that star. Talks about in the lead up, these top teams all have, especially at least one player that is the difference, and maybe they're still waiting for that.
I think the probably best they had was Xherdan Shaqiri, wasn't he? He's retired now, of course. Right, that's the hydration break done. 26 minutes on the clock. Switzerland have possession inside their own half. You listen to TalkSport and it remains 0-0 between these two sides. I mentioned about them being one of only two European teams alongside France to reach the knockout stages of 6 major finals. Well, then you put them in the bracket of France, Argentina and Brazil, and the fact they're in the knockout stages of the World Cup for a 4th consecutive time. That's where Switzerland sit in their major tournament record. It's quite extraordinary. But as we mentioned earlier, 72 years since a quarter-final. So this would be big, huge for them to get a victory in Vancouver this afternoon. They have possession inside their own penalty area again, playing out from the back. Zakaria has it on this near side. He'll go back to Nico Elvedi, who I think's had a terrific tournament for Switzerland. Another one of their really kind of consistent performers. The Borussia Mönchengladbach man at the heart of the defence. He's a one-club man as well. We don't find many of them nowadays, do we? And here is Akanji out wide to the left-hand side. Rodriguez up the line. Granit Xhaka's there. They've beat the Colombian press, and Xhaka just runs into Jefferson Lerma, and Lerma's penalised, and it will be a free kick for Switzerland just inside their own half.
Yeah, interesting midfield battle, isn't it? I wouldn't say either team has won that yet by any means, with Xhaka, Freuler, Gashiri up against Lerma, Huerta, Arias.
Here's Zakaria on this right hand side, ball into the box, or on the outstretched boot that time of Jashari. He was inches away from getting a toe on it, getting under control, and maybe having a shot, but in the end they still miss out on a touch inside the Colombian penalty area. But they come again with Granit Xhaka. Interesting that he chose not to shut down the talk of him potentially joining Chelsea. Instead said it's up to his management because he's concentrating on the World Cup. Could have closed it down, chose not to. Here is Freuler. Freuler still going towards the edge of the box, and Bolo's there, holds the ball up to Fabian Rieder on down the left hand side to Jashari, and then a good challenge from Munoz to put the ball out of play on the far side for a throw to Switzerland, level with the edge of their own penalty area.
Well, whatever's been said by Murat Yakin has had an influence. All of a sudden it's Switzerland with a bit more energy and looking to play forwards a bit more rather than just play it between the two centre-backs. They want the midfielders to get onto it, start trying to probe, get runners beyond Mbolo.
Well, you know, they say people have premonitions. I saw Luis Diaz then charging towards the back of Granit Xhaka, and the outcome was almost inevitable. Granit Xhaka hit the deck, and Diaz is penalised for the foul. It was one of those things you just knew was about to happen. Elvedi, inside his own centre circle, inside his own half, should I say, gets it across to Akanji. Lovely pass from Akanji. It's managed to break through the line there, and then on the charge is Rieder towards the edge of the penalty area. Still going. Rieder gets the shot away, beaten away by Vargas in the Colombian goal, and then hooked out the way and into touch on the near side for a throw to Switzerland.
Well, Fabian Rieder was fortunate with how it deflected back to him.
That's back into the penalty area, nodded down by Ndoye into the arms of Julio Vargas in the Colombian goal again.
But it still felt like a big chance for him on his left side. Just didn't have the power, I don't think, to beat Vargas. Too close to the goalkeeper, who patted it down to the floor, and it bounced up and was defended away. I see a bit more conviction with that finish.
Yeah, Bolo wasn't too far away from getting close to the rebound off the save from Vargas, but first real bit of danger for Colombia. Half an hour on the clock. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. You're listening to TalkSport, the only station bringing you all 104 games of this World Cup, and we are closing in on the latter stages right now. Final round of 16 tie. One more spot in the quarterfinals up for grabs. It's in Kansas City, and it's against the defending champions Argentina. who looked a few hours ago like they were on the plane back to Buenos Aires, or in Messi's case, off to Miami to meet up with Adrian Stewart and Jim, you would have thought, somewhere on the beach. However, they turned it round against Egypt. Free kick, foul on James Rodriguez inside his own half. He only survived the first 45 minutes of the win over Ghana. Fitness-wise, he's obviously not been playing much football. He signed for Minnesota United, 8 appearances he made there in preparation for the World Cup, and then wasn't seen again and won't be seen again, is the theory. Here comes Switzerland again. Down that left-hand side, ball clipped on, helped into the penalty area by Ndoye, gets the shot away. Left foot from a tight angle on that left-hand side. It's a simple save for Vargas, but certainly the drinks break has perked up the Switzerland side.
Yeah, that was a good strike, wasn't it, from Ndoye? It's just the angle was tight on the left-hand side, going across. Vargas with the half volley skimming across the surface, but really well handled by the Colombian goalkeeper. But again, just another sign of the difference since the hydration break for Switzerland, now piercing through that Colombian midfield and then able to play that pass beyond the Colombian defence.
With international Dean Ashton alongside us for this one in the BC Stadium in Vancouver. Up towards halfway, a little layoff by Freuler. Now a counter on here for Colombia, and Rodriguez does well to the left-hand edge of the box. Here's Luis Diaz on the charge, tries to just pass the ball into the back of the net through the feet and the legs of Elvedi. Instead he keeps the ball, keeps it well, edge of the penalty area. Now it's Puerta back towards Lerma. Here's James Rodriguez into the box, and well, Diaz has gone down incredibly easily inside the area between two Swiss players, and I don't know what he was trying to achieve then, but it was always going out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, well, he just felt as if Elvedi wasn't allowing to get past him to head it. Well, he's not going to. He just trapped him in between his arms, wasn't able to get through, and then looked at the referee. A good play once again. When they turn it over quickly, Colombia, they're a real threat.
It was the first time since 2010 against Chile that Switzerland hadn't had a shot in the opening 25 minutes of a World Cup game. They've rectified that now with a couple of efforts, one from Rieder and one from Ndoye. And actually scored a Forest goal since October, as Ndoye had some injury issues throughout the campaign as well. Fell out of favour with the many management changes. He'll have Oliver Glasner in charge, of course, when he returns to the City Ground after the World Cup. And Mojica on this near side has won a goal kick after a challenge from Zakaria. And we've had 34 minutes and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, it's now Colombia's turn to figure out how to stop the Swiss midfield. We're starting to outnumber them in the middle of the pitch. James Rodriguez now looking to drop slightly to be an extra player.
Here's Arias, tries to slip a ball through the middle to find the run of Diaz, but there were two red shirts waiting. One of them was Elvedi, unsurprisingly, to block that pass out. That's turned around the corner for Ndoye to try and chase down that left-hand side towards the edge of the penalty area. Jefferson Lerma gets across though. Powerful challenge from Lerma, and wins the ball back for Colombia at the edge of his own penalty area. He's a real force, 192 Premier League appearances for Jefferson Lerma, and he showed all of his strength on that occasion. And now the ball's worked up to Luis Suarez, midway inside the Swiss half for Colombia. Holds the ball up nicely, finds Gustavo Puerta. It's on to Johan Mojica down this left-hand side. They keep possession, slow things down inside the centre circle. Lerma, Davinson Sanchez is there, but it's with Arias instead, out wide on that right-hand side. Munoz, lovely ball down that line, inside the penalty area, trying to make it work is Munoz, but the offside flag's up against him, and it'll be a free kick for Switzerland.
Well, terrific run though from Munoz. Just on the blind side of Ricardo Rodriguez. He knows James Rodriguez has got the vision. He just pierces it between Ndoye and Ricardo Rodriguez. Munoz, no support. It was crowded out, nobody to play that across to first time.
You can see why with passes like that he has built this team around James Rodriguez still, because yes, he may be 34, yes, he may not have scored a World Cup goal since 2014, but actually his vision and his reading and ability to deliver a pass is still top quality.
Yeah, I mean, he was stood still there with the ball at his feet, just waiting for the movement of Munoz. Strayed slightly offside, but the pass was just brilliant, perfectly weighted, perfectly timed from a standing start.
We talk about his maybe not having quite the movement he had previously. He played in the friendly against France, I think, in March, and then spent 3 days in hospital suffering from dehydration. Such was the challenge in those two fixtures against France and Croatia, which they lost both of, by the way, in the build-up to this tournament in March. Last 4 goals he scored for his country have come from the penalty spot as well. James Rodriguez. And he's had one of those since November last year, so he'll be desperate to try and get on the score sheet at some point in this World Cup. Although, remember, they could be heading home today if they can't get the better of this Swiss side in this round of 16 tie. We have about 8 minutes plus added time to go in the first half. On TalkSport, it remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Left-hand side, on halfway. Xhaka just takes his time, finds Akanji. Here comes Freuler, and the former Forest man, of course. Oh, now a counter on here for Colombia, maybe. There are plenty of red shirts back. Diaz is on the charge. Valverde's going to get across, but the referee will pull it back, I think, for a foul. He played the advantage, but then when they realised there was no advantage for Diaz, he's given the free kick inside the centre circle.
What they don't lack, Switzerland, in defence is pace. Valverde, Akanji, both pretty rapid, and they're going to need to be, because Luis Diaz, when he separates himself from Zakaria, really will make that run in behind the centre-back if he can. Valverde there showing his pace.
Very different, these two head coaches, aren't they? Murat Yakin is a very cool dude. He's got the fancy glasses on, very sharp. A bit more practical, Néstor Lorenzo, 60 years of age, but he's worked wonders with this Colombian side. 7 minutes remaining in this first half, plus added time. Valverde just gets that up in the air for Switzerland, 10 yards outside his own box. Oh, Kanji's been dispossessed here. James Rodriguez onto his left foot, towards the edge of the penalty area, trying to work it for a shot is Luis Suarez. It's easily blocked out. They'll pick up possession again with Munoz on that far side. He gives it short into Lerma. Lerma then for Rodriguez down that far touchline. Munoz is there again, being hassled by Ndoye. Munoz gets away, gets the crossover inside the box. Oh, it was going to be attempted overhead that time from Luis Diaz, and then the effort from Puerta from the edge of the penalty areas. Actually, it was such a bad shot, it stayed in by the corner flag on the far side, and Colombia found themselves a corner.
Yeah, he sliced it so badly it stayed in. Munoz winning a corner. Well, Luis Diaz was up. He was airborne, ready to take on that overhead kick. He saw Zakaria there and just ducked out of it.
Taking this one short, it's Arias who's trying to work it inside the penalty area. They get another attempt at the corner on the right hand side to Colombia. They have got the big boys up. Davinson Sanchez will, you'd feel, be a target of some description here. 4 goals he's got for his country. He's on to cap number 84. Second World Cup as well for him. Well, it's going to be a goal kick actually, because it's come off Arias.
Yeah, VAR, if they're able to look at it quickly enough and see that it shouldn't have been a corner, they can overturn it, which they have done.
Still can't get over the fact that doesn't work the other way round, but there we go. the quirks of FIFA. 5 to go to half-time on TalkSport. 0-0 it remains. Sports Bar coming up after this one, of course. I'm sure they'll be chatting through the wizardry of Lionel Messi that we witnessed a little bit earlier on. Mo Salah's World Cup campaign coming to an end, when it looked like it was going to be Messi who was on his way home. Do you think he's the greatest ever? Better than Pelé?
I think he stamped that very much so at this tournament, if it wasn't already.
Yeah, quite remarkable. Another goal to his name as well, so he's on 8. for this World Cup, just ahead of Mbappe.
Although
Haaland.
R9, I think, would have been without the injuries. That's what I will say.
Yeah, that's clipped through towards Xhaka, had made the run towards the edge of the penalty area. He gets a hug from Davinson Sanchez at the edge of the box. It was a great run from Granit Xhaka. It was kind of going to be a fairly ambitious one too with Jashari, but it was just overrun, and he looks skywards. Does Xhaka? A bit frustrated.
Yeah, just a little roll of the eyes, wasn't it, from Xhaka, because he played it so well in terms of opening that space up. Mbolo had made the run, Xhaka found the space, the pass was just overhit from Jashari. A bit disappointed because Xhaka felt the pass was there, he could have hit that first time with his left foot.
Second World Cup for Jashari, but as I mentioned at the start, only a minute he played in 2022, and he's played a minute so far here prior to the 41 he's had in this game. And from AC Milan with plenty to try and prove in the absence of the likes of Vargas, who we understand is on the bench but not 100% fit, and Manzambi, who he has been seen in his knee brace. We understand it was a fairly innocuous injury picked up in training, no contact at the time. He has had an MRI to just look at the extent of it, hence the support. Munoz on that far side, but it's certainly ruined the World Cup a lot. It's been one of the bright youngsters, and Newcastle definitely interested, looking to open talks. You'll find out more on that if you head to the website talksport.com. Plenty of other World Cup and transfer related gossip as well is available on there too. That's brilliant from Luis Diaz. Nicks the ball off the toes of Xhaka, then out wide to the right hand side. Munoz is there, ball into the box, and it was almost coming towards Luis Suarez, but it's a big foot in from Remo Troila, who puts it behind for another corner.
Well, he must have had a shout there, Luis Suarez, from Luis Diaz, who started it all off by winning it back, playing out to Munoz. He must have had a shout, Luis Suarez, because he could have swiveled and taken a shot. Instead, he let it go through his legs. Must have been a big roar from Luis Diaz behind him.
Remo Troila sliding in to ruin that. Here's the corner, swung over, left-footed towards the edge of the 6-yard box, up by Mbolo, then nodded back into the danger zone by Lerma, who's going to try and win it for the second time. Switzerland get it away, and Ndoye looks to try and take it under control around halfway, and then there's a little tug. Well, it's gone the other way, so Mojica has been penalised for the challenge on Ndoye. Looked like there was a little bit of pulling from both, but it was the initial challenge from Mojica that's been penalised. Well, actually, no, he looks like he may have given it the other way again for Colombia.
I think so. It was hard to decide because they both had a little pull at each other's shirt. I think maybe Mojica had got the first one in, maybe not seen, and then the second one more obvious from Ndoye.
All the way back with Vargas in the Colombian goal, away to our right hand side. 14 starts during qualifying. Actually got first call up and made a first appearance back in 2014, and it was 2020 for a first competitive start for Vargas, who's actually scored 3 goals in his career as well. Likes a penalty, has the ball at his feet, away to our right hand side as we're in the last 30 seconds of the opening 45 minutes. There will of course be a minimum of 3 minutes added time, and I can't think there'll be too much more because there haven't really been any delays. It's been a full throttle game between these two sides. It remains 0-0. Probably not surprising when you look at how both have not conceded too many goals in recent times, and the records of both, because let's be honest, the Swiss are on an excellent run of form right now. Lost one of their last 18 matches since the start of 2025. It will just be the 3 minutes. 11 wins in that run as well. The only defeat was against Germany in a friendly in March.
I think what it does show you is that there's just been nothing between them. There's just been a great battle with great energy. Both teams with quality, but just not able to find that clear-cut chance yet.
If you go on the official FIFA rankings, they're both in their teens. There's a free kick here for Switzerland. And Joy is the player that's fouled this time. And a chance in stoppage time at the end of this first half for the Swiss to maybe apply a little bit of pressure here to the Colombian goal. It's a free kick. It's only probably out 15, maybe 20 yards inside the Colombian half. Granit Xhaka is over it on that far side, the left-hand side, but they have sent the likes of Zakaria forward and Akanji's in the box, as is Elvedi, but they've played it short. So they have a queue of players at the edge of the penalty area, and at this moment in time, they've given the ball away to Colombia, and in fact they've conceded the throw. And I think Switzerland have literally just wasted a terrific set-piece opportunity there.
I just don't understand why you would send everybody up to then play it 5 yards to the side of you with a man under pressure. That I don't think I'll ever understand.
No, illogical really. Just over a minute to play at the end of this first half. 0-0 it remains on TalkSport. We're back to Miami, which is where Adrian Durham is on South Beach, I think, looking to see if he can replicate the look of Don Johnson maybe from the old days in the 80s.
Knowing Adrian and his skin, we definitely won't be sunbathing.
No, this is very true actually. I did see earlier, I mean, he called out the rest of the team for their Americanisms in the build-up to this game. He was eating avocado on toast. I never had Adrian down as a smashed avocado on toast man.
No, I thought he was talking trash, if I'm honest.
It's away on this near side by Mojica. I mean, they have been wandering around America for quite some time now. It's no surprise they've started to pick up the odd phrase. Mojica's rolling around here. We're in the last 30 seconds of added time at the end of the first half. I think Ivan Barton from El Salvador is basically going to say to him, just get up and get on with it. We've only got a few seconds to go. It was a kind of just a pathetic coming together between him and Reader. There was nothing really in it. Certainly didn't warrant the rolling around we saw. Zakaria is now wandering down the touchline with ball in hand, much to the annoyance of referee Barton. It's cleared away by Colombia up the left touchline. Diaz is on a charge here against Elvedi, who's going to get there first, and he just lifts the ball safely to the feet of George Cabell, away to our left-hand side, and that completes an opening 45 minutes in Vancouver, where probably Colombia have maybe had the better of it, you'd feel, but a couple of efforts after that hydration break from Switzerland, certainly bringing them back into the game. One of them from Rida and one of them from Dan Ndoye, probably the best save of the half from George Cabell, and that was to deny the effort from Puerta from the edge of the penalty area. But it's a tight old affair between these two at the moment. Neither has booked their ticket to face Argentina in Kansas City. Half-time, Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Thank you very much, Adrian. Second half about to get underway here. Adrian mentioned those comments by the Egyptian manager. Just something I noticed at half-time. Mustafa Ziko, the forward, in an interview basically said it's clear that this tournament has been fixed. So he's even gone a step further in parts than what his head coach has. Plenty going to be flying Egypt's way after some of those comments post-match. Change here for Switzerland, an interesting one as well. Well, we said about Jashari having played 2 minutes in World Cups before. He's only got 45 here because he's been replaced by Djibril Sow. The interesting thing there being, Djibril Sow, of course, started the game against Canada, and we was told he missed out on the training session yesterday, and he was a real doubt through injury, but maybe the manager thinks he can get him through 45 minutes here, Dean, because he's on.
Yeah, and obviously that player that he brought in only gets 45 minutes. Bashari feels like it maybe just didn't work. Could be a slight tweak to that midfield area as well, with Freuler and Xhaka now as a 2 and Reader as a 10. I think that might be the change that they will go for, hopefully getting Reader closer to Embolo, who was pretty isolated in that first half.
Yeah, I've asked for some clarity on the number of touches Embolo had in that opening 45 minutes, because I just don't recall mentioning his name too much during the commentary. Let's run you through the two teams. Cabell is in goal, Rodriguez, Akanji, Elvedi, Zakaria at the back line for Switzerland, Freuler and Xhaka, the two central midfielders, and Ndoye, Sow and Reader playing behind Embolo, who was pretty absent in that opening 45 minutes. As for Colombia, it's Vargas in goal, Munoz, Sanchez, Lukumi and Mojica across the back, Puerta, Lerma and Arias in midfield, with Rodriguez, Suarez and Diaz up top. Remember, we will head to extra time and penalties if needed. Here's Embolo against Davinson Sanchez, right edge of the Colombian penalty area. Switzerland on the attack, back with Granit Xhaka, and now down this left hand side it's Ricardo Rodriguez out wide to Dan Ndoye. Ndoye onto that right foot of his. Is he going to go inverted or try and go round his man? Tries to go round his man, pulls it back into the box, and the shot as he slips over, as he takes it from Djibril Sow, is well wide of the right hand post of Camilo Vargas.
But we haven't seen that enough in this game from either side, which is the winger going on the outside. Dan Ndoye this time standing it up, the full back up, and then just checking it and zipping it back towards the penalty spot. Sadly for Sow, he's just slipped as he was about to strike with his left foot, and it went terribly wide.
Certainly did, but he's had his first touch since coming on at half-time as Sow, and having missed that training session yesterday, hopefully he's got what it takes to get through these 45 minutes, in the absence of course potentially of Vargas, who is again named as a substitute but missed training yesterday, and Manzambi, if you've just joined us, absent with a knee problem. He's in a brace, watching on, which is a real shame for what for me has been one of the standout young players of this World Cup. 3 minutes into the second half, nil-nil it remains on Talk Sport. And it's nodded down into the path of Xhaka towards the edge of the Colombian penalty area. Here comes Switzerland again, who are starting on the front foot in this second period. It's Ndoye again, onto his right foot into the box with Xhaka. Lovely 1-2, Ndoye goes down, wants a penalty. Ivan Bartonar, El Salvadorian referee, waves his arms and says absolutely not. And the ball goes into touch on this near side, which will be a throw-in on this near side. And he's talking away, I think, to the VAR, saying, no, never a penalty.
Yeah, well, Barton the referee, should I say, just shaking his head at Ndoye. And I think he's right, because Ndoye went for the 1-2 around Munoz, and the referee can tell that he's acting and making the contact. There's such a difference between, taking the contact and creating it yourself. Ndoye did that there. He put his arm across, he started to go down before there was genuine contact, so really good refereeing.
Well, I thought Embolo had the fewest touches in the first half. It wasn't actually, it was Luis Suarez who had the fewest touches. I don't think the two front men, though, have particularly covered themselves in glory so far in the opening 49 minutes of this game on Talk Sport, where it remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. That's cleared away by Lukumi into the air and headed out by Elvedi on that far side. Well kept in onto Jacques, and then helped on its way on that far touchline towards Freuler. And now down the left-hand side, here comes Ricardo Rodriguez. Infield behind Ndoye, the pass. Xhaka says he was caught. There's two players down in discomfort, one from each side, but play continues. Lerma. Diaz down the left-hand side has got space. Suarez is in the middle. Lerma's continued his run into the box. Diaz has it, edge of the penalty area. James Rodriguez just letting the ball run across him and ended up being dispossessed. Still players down. Still Colombia attack down that left-hand side with Luis Diaz again. Has the ball at feet. He's got two closing him down. Wants some movement around him. Switches play to this near side to Gustavo Puerta. Now on this right-hand side, level with the edge of the box, it's James Rodriguez. Left-footed ball in, and going for the header was Arias. And now the referee blows his whistle. It's out of play for a goal kick. And it's a yellow card for Granit Xhaka from the referee. And it's Munoz who's in some discomfort.
Munoz it was that just got there ahead of Xhaka. Really slides in and catches him fully on the top of the foot with his boot and the studs. And it's the yellow card for Granit Xhaka. And James Rodriguez with the curling ball in from that right-hand side. Good defending from Elvedi, just giving a little shove to Arias before he was about to jump, which meant he couldn't get anywhere near the ball.
Yeah, he certainly felt that, did Munoz. He's the leader for Switzerland. How Sow on the charge through the middle with some tempo to his game. Nice pass to the left-hand side. Here's Rodriguez, level with the edge of the box for Switzerland. charging towards the corner flag, goes back to the edge of the penalty area where Xhaka is there, who seems a little more advanced in the early stages of this second half. Djibril Sow keeps it alive to Akanji, who's midway inside the Colombia half. Here's Xhaka again, Akanji once more into the feet of Sow. Akanji to the edge of the penalty area, little turn by Reida, who's fouled. Brought that foul from Davinson Sanchez, 3 or 4 yards outside the box towards the left hand edge. A free kick for Switzerland.
Yeah, really nice body shape from Reida as he collects the ball. Sanchez thinks he can win it on his left hand side, and he just flicks it round to his right to win the free kick. But it was Akanji once again with that pass in towards the forward players.
Free kick then that will probably suit the right foot here, maybe, of Freuler if he wants to shoot. They're scoring the Colombian wall, just being set by Camilo Vargas. Xhaka's there to maybe swing a left footer in, should they choose to head in the direction of Akanji and co. Reida there too. Who's going to have this? Freuler? Oh, he's going to leave it for Reida. Left footed into the side netting. Wasn't a bad effort. So he scored one international goal. That came against Mexico. And this one, he started off outside the goal and it never made its way around on target.
No, it didn't. Everything about it looked good. The technique, the bend on the free kick towards that near post from the left hand side with the left footer. But just a good yard to the left of the post.
I would argue the percentages on a left footer from that side aren't great, are they? It's much more suited to a right footer.
Yeah, just swinging away from the goalkeeper rather than in towards the goalkeeper. Just maybe trying to deceive the goalkeeper with a left footer taking it rather than the right.
Good work by James Rodriguez on halfway to win the ball. Feeds it short into Arias. Switch of play to the right hand side, finds Munoz. Helps it on its way again into the feet this time of Puerta, who's very busy in the middle of the park for Colombia. And the attempted pass back towards Davinson Sanchez from Jefferson Lerma is intercepted and out for a throw on this near side for Colombia. Not sure what the future holds for Jefferson Lerma, out of contract at Crystal Palace. 48 appearances he made last season. Obviously a new head coach may want to keep him, or he may be looking elsewhere for his football. 4 of his 5 international goals have come in the last 2 years, and they have all come internationally as well. There's been a lack of goals for Crystal Palace, that's for sure. Here's Rodriguez for Switzerland, over halfway. 2 very experienced players with the name Rodriguez in this game today. James racking up 1-3-1 appearances. Ricardo Rodriguez, it's 1-4-3 for his country today. Elvedi inside the centre circle, to the left Akanji. Feels like Switzerland are playing maybe 10 yards further forward in this second half, certainly pressing up a little bit more. Reida seeing more of the ball, just flips it with the outside of his boot to try and get it into the path of Sow. Has to be dealt with, and is dealt with at the back by Mojica, and it'll be gathered up by Cabell, who slices it left-footed towards Rodriguez, and down by Davinson Sanchez, but poor header down, and Doi can't control it. Colombia win it back on halfway with Lerma again. Munoz on this near side, and it's Colombia forced back inside their own half. Do you get the impression Switzerland are playing a little bit higher up the field?
Well, I just think that shift in the with the change in midfield, Freuler and Xhaka playing as a 2, squeezing up, and then Reida is able to go and press with Embolo and stop Colombia playing out, so they're winning it higher up the pitch, while Switzerland, without again finding that little bit of creativity to find a meaningful chance.
Xhaka inside his own penalty area finds Gregor Cabell. Finally got his chance, of course, as the number 1 for Switzerland. And Dessona decided to retire. Took him 13 matches to get his first clean sheet in the Swiss goal. He's kept one so far here in the first 56 minutes of this game. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0 on TalkSport. Final game of the round of 16 at this World Cup. Final place available in those quarterfinals against Argentina in Kansas City, Sunday morning, 2 a.m. live on TalkSport. Out for a throw, and Doy's down on the floor, but he's going to get up and about fairly swiftly. And it will be a throw-in for Switzerland, taken by Rodriguez, back inside their own half. Pressure from Luis Suarez. He's encouraging James Rodriguez to join him, but as we mentioned at half-time, not particularly the most mobile now, James Rodriguez, as he gets forward. It's picked up by Lukumi. Out on that left-hand side, he goes to Mahika. And Diaz is there with the ball at his feet on halfway, but again, he just is forced backwards by a slightly better press further upfield that's coming from Switzerland in this second half. Whatever Murat Yakin did at half-time seems to have certainly put Switzerland on the front foot. Control by Puerta on halfway, under pressure from Ricardo Rodriguez, and then James Rodriguez hammers the ball down the line just to try and find Munoz, who's in the charge. The pass back from Akanji to the goalkeeper was a poor one. The pressure was on from Munoz, and then the attempted clearance somehow finds its way to Ndoye, who's on the charge down the left-hand side. And Switzerland have got space here, and a player on the right-hand side in Jibril Sal, who was arriving, but it's a very calm, cool clearance by Arias, who gets it away for Colombia.
Yeah, you can see though that both defences have been strong. Just when you think there's a gap, they close it down with their pace and organisation.
Inside the penalty area, here's Sal, right-hand side, looks to get the cross into the 6-yard box, but it's blocked out for Colombia. First touch from Luis Diaz wasn't the best, and what it meant was he got caught in the end by Zakaria on that far side, and that will be a yellow card. I think the poor first touch from Diaz is what caused Zakaria a problem there.
It did, and then he just felt like he could win it. I mean, look, he was fractions away. Luis Diaz just about quick enough to poke the toe out and get it away.
Not happy, and that decision was Murat Yakin. Third major tournament for him in charge of Turkey. Record's pretty good so far. Colombia actually won their group at the third consecutive World Cup. To go back though to 2014 for their last win in the round of 16 against Uruguay. All punted forward here for Colombia and headed down by Valverde back to the keeper.
Well, they've really struggled in the second half so far. Colombia. Nestor Lorenzo must be thinking, do I need to maybe now make a change to combat a slight change in that midfield area? They've won it back here.
They have won it back. Diaz on the charge towards the edge of the box. The ball across towards Suarez is intercepted. It's controlled at the edge of the penalty area again, and spinning, and the left-footed shot from Diaz is away, but it's into the arms of the keeper, and then he just again acts as chief cheerleader and encourages the Colombians to make some noise.
Yeah, well, that first pass was almost perfect for Luis Suarez. He maybe has had too much to say to the referee.
Another yellow card, I think.
Yeah. And then he does the first bit brilliantly, Luis Diaz. Lovely little control, flick it round to himself, to then swivel with the left foot, and then just doesn't catch it, bobbles it in towards Cabell.
Well, it was a bit of a hand-holding exercise from Suarez on Cabell that got him a yellow card. Probably not really necessary from Suarez, but he's in the book. Here's Reader, 25 yards out on his left foot. Reader takes the shot, it's blocked, and then ricochets off of Lerma, who gives it to Arias, who then knocks a little pass into the feet of Mojica at the edge of the penalty area. It was danger, and then Suarez is taken down by Akanji, and that will be a free kick for Colombia on halfway. Referee loves to blow his whistle.
Yeah, just held on too long, Akanji. Akanji's protesting that Luis Suarez trapped his arms underneath his armpits. But Akanji had his arms round him in the first place anyway.
On the books of Watford, of course, was Suarez, taken in at Sporting as the replacement for Gyökeres, and had a pretty decent old campaign. 38 goals in his 53 appearances throughout the season for Luis Suarez. Only a couple of appearances in qualification though. Offside flag is up. Free kick for Switzerland. And the Colombians are having a good time. I'm trying to work out if one of those we can see is actually Valderrama or if he's just wearing a wig.
Oh, it's a wig. I'm sure there's plenty of them still.
They do love a wig, don't they? Football fans love a wig. I think we've seen that. Face painting and a Valderrama wig. What more could you want? Akanji back to his goalkeeper. I think that G up from Diaz has certainly lifted the crowd a little bit here. Another G up because there's a foul on Gustavo Puerta. Lifted up by Granit Xhaka. They've taken that quickly. Not too sure there was much going on that made that an advantageous proposition, because Switzerland have won it back inside their own half with Rodriguez, and it's still a bit scrappy from Colombia at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely no flow to their play, whereas Switzerland, they're managing to utilise the midfield area with, oh, that's a mistake.
It is, chance to shoot, oh, it's well wide from the edge of the penalty area. Luis Suarez, I'm not sure what he's complaining about. He's basically looking around and blaming the turf and everything else, when really he had a free shot from the edge of the box and has put it well wide.
Our centre forwards, we will find an excuse, and he is blaming the pitch. He might have bobbled slightly, but not to the point where you slice it as wide as he did there. But Xhaka with a real mistake in midfield, allowing him to turn and shoot from the edge of the area.
I don't know about the rest of the Colombian side, but just having a looking at John Lukumi, whose head was in his hands at how wide that shot was from Luis Suarez. I think he felt his teammate perhaps should have done a little better with that opportunity after Switzerland gave the ball away. It was an invite from the Swiss, and it was not taken advantage of by Colombia for sure. 63 minutes played as things stand, and it's 0-0 on TalkSport. A reminder, France against Morocco is the first of the quarter-finals. It's 9 o'clock on Thursday, and it's live on TalkSport, as is every game from this World Cup. Friday, Spain against Belgium at 8 o'clock UK time, and on Saturday from Miami at 10 o'clock, England against Norway for a place in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Forward down that left-hand side comes Mojica, and he's now cheeing the crowd up as his attempted cross is blocked out for a throw-in. Vamos Colombia, the signs being shown up in the stands. Plenty of flags. Most of this stadium in Vancouver is yellow. Diaz was trying to get to that one. Now we've got on the floor Nico Elvedi. It was after a run-in with Diaz. The referee blew his whistle after the throw had been taken, and I think he's indicating that there will be a substitution made now, and it will be the first change of this second half.
Yeah, Luis Diaz just coming together with Elvedi, just trying to get his arm across to gain the space, going in the face, but it does feel as if the game needs something, changes, something different, and it's Colombia that make those, because Switzerland have been better in the second half.
James Rodriguez is departing, and so is John Arias. They are the two changes, and we see the introduction of Campas and Quintero are the two players coming on. So forward changes, or certainly advanced up the pitch changes for Colombia. I mean, Rodriguez, he does have wonderful touch, wonderful vision, wonderful passing, but mobility in the second half was looking even less than we'd seen previously.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision to take him off. A little bit more energy needed, I think, from the Colombian side. Certainly out of possession, they've allowed Switzerland to have it too easily, certainly in midfield, and play around them in little triangles.
66 minutes played. It is Switzerland who have it. Out wide on that right hand side, just over halfway. Little touch down the line. Sicario on the charge towards the edge of the penalty area. Into Embolo, who goes down under the challenge of Davinson Sanchez. Referee waves it away. Embolo still down on the floor. But at this moment, Colombia have possession of the ball. Davinson Sanchez gives it short. And I think there was a discussion as to whether they put the ball out of play or not to allow Embolo to get treatment. He's hammering the floor with his right hand. There's booing because the ball hasn't gone out of play yet. Now it has. The referee intervenes.
But again, the referee's going to go over it and say either you go off and wait for a minute or you get up. And it is no surprise. He gets up. He's frustrated that he didn't get the decision. And we carry on.
Yeah, it was... I don't think it was a foul from Davinson Sanchez at all. So we're going to have the hydration break here as we reach the midway point of the second half here on TalkSport. It remains 0-0 as things stand. Remember, there will be extra time and penalties to decide who faces Argentina in Kansas City in the wee small hours on Sunday morning. In the meantime, they're still playing at Wimbledon, I understand. Let's get an update there from Centre Court, where we can join Lisa O'Sullivan.
We are 4 hours and 47 minutes into this battle between the number 3 seed Felix Auger-Aliassime and the number 7 seed Novak Djokovic, and the Centre Court crowd is rising to try and rally Novak Djokovic into booking his place in the semi-finals, because although we're on serve in this 5th set, Djokovic is leading 5-4. Auger-Aliassime's serve has been flawless throughout this game, metronomic with its precision, but the crowd know we're potentially heading to a tie-break. Djokovic, however, could win it in this game. It's 7-6, 3-6, 6-3, 6-7, 5-4 to Djokovic. Auger-Aliassime is serving.
So we'll keep you posted on that one. We could do with some metronomic precision here from one of these strikers to find us a goal, Dean Ashton.
Yes, we could. But then again, you need the chances. It's obviously very difficult at any level to just create it on your own. And I felt a little bit for Embolo and for Luis Suarez. Haven't really been given the support or the service to have those chances, I think, to show their qualities. It's been such a tight game, so well contested. And it feels as if, it is maybe just going to be one moment between these two that will decide it.
Well, it is a 6th round of 16 match for Switzerland in the World Cup, and they have scored just once in those games, and that was their goal from Akanji against Portugal 4 years ago when they lost 6-1. They don't do round of 16 well, I think it's fair to say. Last time they actually got to those quarterfinals in 1954, that was when the tournament was played on home soil in Switzerland. They lost 7-5 to Austria. 9 goals in the first half that day. Over 40 degrees was the temperature. We're going to see a change here. Miro Muheim is, I think, going to come on, and we're going to see Ricardo Rodriguez depart. And maybe he's just giving him a talking to, and it's not going to be Rodriguez who's departing. They are deep in conversation down below as we await the end of this hydration break and this substitution. Well, we're waiting for the board to come up. Here we are, and it is going to be Rodriguez who departs, and the man from Hamburg, Miro Muheim, is on, only his 12th cap.
Well, again, I think just seeing some of the changes, the game's moving on very, very quickly in terms of the physicality of the game. I'm surprised to see James Rodriguez and Ricardo Rodriguez leave early.
Jurgen Klopp's in the house. I wonder if he's preparing to take over as the head coach of Germany. Who knows? That'll certainly be fascinating one to watch if that happens. Down this left-hand side, it's Dan and Doy as Switzerland get us restarted after the hydration break on the attack. Being tracked by Munoz all the way, and Doy in the end is fouled by Munoz. And Ivan Barton, our referee, gives the free kick right on the touchline 12 yards out from goal.
He just couldn't help himself, Munoz. He'd done brilliantly just to face Ndoye away from goal, out wide on the touchline, had to have an extra nibble, free kick given.
Rieder is going to come across and deliver this for Switzerland on this left-hand side. So it's going to be an outswing up with his left foot. Sau is in there, Xhaka's in there, Akanji. There's plenty being said between Davinson Sanchez and Granit Xhaka as well. Rieder does swing it towards the back post. Good header away by Davinson Sanchez. That's back into the danger zone. The keeper comes out and clatters into Embolo. The offside flag was up anyway. Embolo in the keeper's way, but that looked quite uncomfortable and certainly has winded Camilo Vargas for sure.
Well, he's down holding his chest. Embolo doesn't know the goalkeeper is coming. He really does rattle through the back of the Swiss striker with his knees. His head clatters the goalkeeper's chest. But that was all felt very unnecessary, really, for Embolo to have left it knowing the goalkeeper's going to come, and the goalkeeper really just gathering without having to knee the centre forward in the back. But luckily Embolo's up.
Well, he is. He's just putting his hands round the face of Vargas, who's laying on the floor inside the penalty area, and I think Barton just having a word and saying, look, did you really need to do that? To be fair, I think Embolo's done well there, because he got well and truly clattered in the back by the knees of Vargas. And a little kiss on Vargas's head from Embolo. It's very nice to see such sportsmanship on the pitch. I'm not sure someone like Roy Keane would approve of that, but nonetheless. 17 minutes plus stoppage time to come in this final round of 16 game. The last place number 8 in the quarterfinals at the 2026 World Cup is still up for grabs, and it's all to play for between Switzerland and Colombia. Could be for a barnstorming finale here. 17 minutes remaining, 0-0 it stands on TalkSport. Forward towards halfway, flicked on its way down this right hand side by Campas. Now inside the box the chase was on for Luis Suarez, but Akanji was strong, gets it clear. Munoz has it, infield he goes, he finds Quintero looking out to this near side where Campas was waiting. Quintero instead is into now a chance for Campas to get it across the face of goal, and he's literally passed it into the arms of Cabell, but the offside flag was up anyway.
Well, it does feel like there's going to have to be a little bit of invention or magic through Suarez, I think it was, that Cruyff flicked it through. Just offside though, but it's going to take something like that, I think, to unlock the door.
Oh, and Toy with a poor little pass into Rieder. Rieder got caught, and then he was fouled. So the ball had already been won, I think. A bit unnecessary from Lerma. We're going to come away with possession anyway. Rieder then was down. Oh, it's a nice little touch actually from Rieder, and Lerma really just couldn't stop himself from sliding in.
No, clever though, wasn't it, from Rieder, just to take that first touch away from Lerma, knowing he was sliding in, had to then go through the player to get to the ball.
When he's got the ball, actually Rieder's looked alright in the second half in particular. That's poor from Lerma again, just gives the ball away, but Colombia puts it into touch, so Switzerland have a throw midway inside the Colombian half.
Well, I'm not sure if there's any fitness issues or whether Murat Yakin just really doesn't like the way Okafor plays, but how is he not featuring? He's such a dynamic player for Leeds in the Premier League. To not see him is, I think, slightly odd.
Well, of course he made 3 appearances in the last World Cup, did Okafor. Didn't appear at all in qualifying, so clearly was not on the radar at the time of Yakin. Again, it's one to Vargas, who has to come out and clear. It was a fairly hopeful ball forward for Embolo to chase onto. Here's Akanji back towards his own goal. Pressure from Campas on this near side, and in the end Akanji goes down and wants the free kick in the left back position,
which he was looking for, and Campas duly obliged. Again, done the right thing, closed down brilliantly. Kanji struggling to either pass back to the goalkeeper He'll just clip his heels. Just stunts momentum is what it does.
Well, the halftime concert we were treated to here as a way of saying goodbye and thank you to Canada was quite lively, and probably more lively than what we've seen at times in the second half, particularly from Colombia.
Well, I thought the first half had so much energy and promise. The second half's been a lot more tactical and scrappy, and a bit more possession for Switzerland.
13 minutes plus added time to play. 0-0 it remains. Sports Bar coming up with O'Hara and Cundy after we are done here. Maybe a very short edition of the Sports Bar tonight if we end up in the realms of extra time and penalties. Still be time to discuss the magic of Messi earlier, of course, when Argentina came from 2 down with 15 minutes to go to beat Egypt by 3-2. Plenty of controversy since then, which you can read about on talksport.com. Comments from the Egyptian coach, from Zico, the player, basically saying the World Cup was rigged to keep Messi and Argentina in. Well, controversy. I mean, they did go back 17 seconds to rule out a goal for a foul up the other end of the pitch, which I think has got Peter Shilton quite excited that they're going that far back to review goals. Not sure they'll head back to 1986, but nonetheless. Here's Sal on the right-hand side. Gets the cross over towards Mbolo. It's headed out. Reader at the edge of the penalty area on that far side. Remo Freuler, should I say, has it. Clips it across towards the back post. He's looking for Ndoye, but the chase was on, and it will be brought away on this near side by Campaz, who isn't fouled by Ndoye. Ndoye gets the ball according to the referee. Ndoye now coming forward down the left-hand side. Chooses not to take his man on. Finds Xhaka, right edge of the penalty area. Zakaria, right-footed ball swung over towards the back post. I mean, it's an awful cross, if we're going to be brutally honest. And Bolo never stood a chance, and it's a goal kick for Colombia.
No, that was really poor from Zakaria. But they've got it wide a few times, Switzerland. Nowhere near enough bodies in the box. Nowhere near enough players gambling to add an extra player to cover the goal. And Bolo again isolated as that ball was played in.
I thought as well, Dean, in the first half, Ndoye a couple of times took his man on and got results. He seems to have shied away from taking his man on and trying to get to the byline in this second half.
Yeah, I agree. But then you've got to give credit to Munoz, who maybe has got a little bit tighter to him, not allowed that ball to go out to him quite as easily. There's been a lot of fouls as well, it feels like, in this second half. On a stop-start, no real flow, but still time to win it in normal time.
Bit of tension there between Mbolo and Davinson Sanchez. Sanchez now playing his football in Turkey for Galatasaray, so he's probably more than used to a bit of physicality and confrontation, particularly in some of those Turkish derbies. I mean, there's just a silly foul again. Munoz and Ndoye, it's just a nudge in the back, and Ndoye's always going to go down. Munoz doesn't really need to do it, and it's very scrappy in this second half. 10 to go on TalkSport, and there'll be added time, of course, and then we're going to be heading into extra time and penalties. A couple of changes coming. Cucho Hernandez, I think, is preparing to come on, as is Richard Rios as well for Colombia. Akanji has it 10 yards outside his own penalty area. Hence the frustration from the mostly Colombian supporters inside the BC Stadium in Vancouver. Just over 54,000 in, making a hell of a noise underneath this roofed structure down by the harbour next to the Rogers Arena. Vancouver, of course, the home of the likes of Bryan Adams, the groover from Vancouver, as he was called. Michael Bublé is a Vancouver man as well. This is Ryan Reynolds, of course. Down that right-hand side. You could do a bit of superhero action today, to be fair. Here is Akanji inside the centre circle. Out to the left-hand side. Now, here comes Muhan, the substitute. Gets it wide to Ndoye. Maybe he will take his man on this time. No, cuts in onto his right foot. We'll give it back to Remo Freuler. Out to this left-hand side where Fabian Rieder's there. Into the feet of Muhan. He tries to turn it round the corner. But close attention from Munoz, who gives away the throw. And now I think we're going to see that double change for Colombia. And Luis Suarez is coming off this time.
Yeah, just hasn't been able to get into the game at all. Luis Suarez.
Cucho Hernandez is coming on, and Jefferson Lerma departing as well, and he's going to be replaced by Richard Rios, who's on into that midfield as well. There's some instructions being delivered as well. They've got defending to do here though. Switzerland on the attack down this left-hand side, and Ndoye trying to get away from Munoz, who had a terrific season, of course. Conference League winners with Crystal Palace, winning the FA Cup the season before as well. Now here's Ndoye. This time he does go round his man to the byline, tries to get the crossover. Munoz concedes the corner.
Well, he has just got that extra bit of pace ahead of Munoz. Munoz, though, really sticking to that defensive work to deflect that behind for a corner. I mean, it is, or it seems, the World Cup of late goals, that's for sure. So let's not be surprised if we find one.
Certainly does. I think Jim mentioned a stat earlier about 30-odd goals rating games. As that swung over for Switzerland, Xhaka tries to put it back into the danger zone in the penalty area after it was half cleared, and now comes Mojica on that far side, lifts a diagonal ball forward to the right-hand edge of the box, helped on its way inside the penalty area, and out comes Cabal, and he has to get to it. It was knocked forward by Quintero, but the offside flag was up, and it will be a free kick for Switzerland.
Yeah, the touch was just over-hit, wasn't it, initially, for Campas from Quintero. Just strayed slightly. Cabal, I don't know why he didn't just gather that. Patted it away
into the path of Luis Diaz, but the offside flag intervening. 6 minutes to go. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0 for a place against Argentina in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Mbolo does well. Jibril Sow is Xhaka inside the centre circle. Switches play down the left-hand side. Mira Muhan slips it into the edge of the penalty area. Fabian Rieder's there, tries to go between two, but he's easily blocked out, and it comes out to Campas on this near side. And now down that left-hand side, it's brought forward by Mojica up to halfway where Luis Diaz has the ball at his feet. Diaz then infield, just lifted to this right-hand side where it's controlled once more down this near side by Munoz. There's not been a 0-0 draw in a World Cup knockout stage match since Morocco against Spain. That was in the round of 16 in 2022. Could be heading that way now. We're into the closing stages, but this is when so many goals have been scored. A stoppage time winner today for Argentina to beat Egypt 3-2 as it's lifted forward by Campas, but easily blocked out. And now Mbolo will go charging into that challenge, and the referee says whatever came afterwards from Mbolo was fair.
Well, of course, Mbolo uses that electric pace of his to cause defenders problems. Davinson Sanchez it was that slid in, but then was trodden on by Mbolo.
Yeah, he caught him in the aftermath, didn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't intentional, he just couldn't quite get out of the way. Mbolo's been nullified because of the pace of Sanchez and Lukumi at the back for Colombia.
Double change coming for Switzerland as well, and it's Mbolo who's going to be going off here. He's going to be replaced by Itten, and he doesn't look happy about it. I think it's fair to say.
Can't believe it, can he? And there's a game to be won, but ultimately he's not been in the game.
Zakaria off as well. That's maybe a little bit more understandable. Sylvain Widmer will come on and play it right back, but Well, when you need a goal, he also takes your penalties as well, doesn't he? But number 26, Sajidin is on. He's not happy about that decision. And I think the fact we haven't seen Vargas kind of confirms that he really isn't fit, despite being on the bench.
Yeah, I think so. And we're very much into hero time, aren't we? This stage of the game, there hasn't been really anything in it. The second half's really struggled to get going. Yet, in the World Cup, you're only a moment away from being a national hero. Can someone grab that?
Well, Italy's the one they've chosen to maybe try and find that goal. 3 goals in his first 2 appearances for Switzerland for the 29-year-old who plays at Fortuna Düsseldorf. Last 3 minutes of the 90, plus stoppage time still to come. Ball forward from Quintero is blocked by the hand, and it will be a free kick. More rigs on show from the Colombians, who are now reaching the point of chewing nails for sure. Quintero tries to play a 1-2 with Campas. Quintero again out wide to that left-hand side. Here is Luis Diaz. Diaz towards the back post, and going down inside the penalty area was Campas, and he's saying he was pushed. The referee says, "Nope, I saw it all," and you're having nothing.
No, he felt as if he would have got to the ball had he not been pulled at the back post by Ndoye. There's a slight grab of the hand, but not enough to send him flying to the floor, and I think that's the point of the referee.
Don't forget Drive tomorrow, coming live from the States with Goldstein and Bent. That's from 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening, and there's no live football, I know. Adrian and Stuart Pearce will be bringing you kickoff from Miami. Of course, you can watch the programme on your connected TV or via YouTube as well. Same, of course, with White and Jordan, who are on tomorrow afternoon, back in the UK, but with you between 1 and 4. Simon had plenty to say earlier on today about Gianni Infantino for a change. 1 minute plus added time to play in Vancouver. That's down inside the box, and it's Itten trying to get the shot away, but goes out of play on the far side. Diaz can't keep it in. Be a throw into Switzerland. We've seen very little of Luis Diaz coming forward in the second half.
Again, just gone missing too often. Let the game drift without him being involved. That can't happen. The best don't let that happen, that's for sure. But then the best also deliver even if they've not been in the game.
Oh, pressure here inside the penalty area. Colombia again have just played around with it, and even Barton is saying just play on. They thought there was a foul initially. We have a Switzerland player down in the box, and it's not Itten because he's at the edge of the penalty area, but it's still on the floor. I think it's Reeder.
Yeah, he feels as if he should have had a penalty. He felt as if he just got past the defender and got caught.
5 additional minutes. 0-0 it remains on TalkSport. Extra time and penalties could be incoming here to decide the final spot in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Oh, attempted pass down the line was a poor one. Just intercepted easily. Huerta, the player who tried to thread that ball through. Here's Xhaka. Here's Sal. 30 yards out. What can Switzerland do here? And Ndoye with a ball across the face of goal. He rocked up on the right-hand side this time, and Ndoye played it into the centre, and it's out for a throw by the corner flag on this near side.
He made such a sharp run from the middle of the pitch to the right-hand side, but it's such a tight angle. Very difficult to score from that area and then not pull back enough for his teammate. In the end, absolutely nothing for anybody. I'll tell you what though, Reeder felt as if he was definitely caught by Davinson Sanchez thigh to thigh.
Well, Davinson Sanchez with his arms out, claiming he'd held his ground. Not a view shared by Murat Yakin. and Doy's gone off. Now we are seeing the introduction of Vargas, so maybe he thinks he can do extra time.
Well, he must.
That's all he's got, yeah.
He must feel like he can do.
I do feel a little bit for Murat Yakin here, because he is, with these injuries and niggles with these players, he's almost playing with his hands tied behind his back here. I think we all felt when we saw the team line-up, the absence of Vargas and of Manzambi may well impact Switzerland, but they've been the better team in the second half by far.
Yeah, they've had more of the ball. They've looked like the team that's going to score, but has been their problem for many years now, really, is having those players that can create and finish chances. I think it's been the biggest miss for Switzerland for so long.
Former England striker Dean Ashton with us for Switzerland against Colombia. The drums are banging around the BC Stadium in Vancouver once more, as the Colombians just try and find a last little bit of effort. 2.5 minutes of added time to play at the end of this game. 0-0 it remains. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Vargas is on, gives it back to Muhai. Here's Akanji. Down this right hand side, Switzerland go over halfway. Forward by Elvedi. Out wide on that right hand side. The attempted cross goes up in the air and out of play, and it will be a corner for Switzerland, blocked out by Mojica.
Well, it's very much Switzerland pushing. Feels as if Colombia have looked to settle for extra time. Got to defend this corner though.
2 minutes to play. 0-0, corner for Switzerland on the right hand side. Ivan Barton, the referee, going to speak to Akanji and Rios, warning them both as they await the delivery of this ball, which Reed is going to swing in with his left foot from that far side. Going to be in swinging towards Vargas. It's headed away by Davinson Sanchez at the edge of the 6-yard area, and then helped on its way by Diaz, clipped forward. Defending's needed from Remo Freuler, but it's done, and actually it's turned into a pass forward down the right hand side. Vidmar inside the penalty area, wants the corner, doesn't get the corner. It's just a goal kick and a minute of added time to play.
Yeah, Davinson Sanchez, to be fair to him, it's at least 3 times now he's produced brilliant defensive headers from Switzerland's set plays.
Both of these sides have needed extra time twice in the World Cup before. Could be a third for both in about 40 seconds time, unless there is some real late drama. Munoz loses possession inside his own half. Xhaka gets it forward to Vargas down this left hand side. Here is Ruben Vargas into Granit Xhaka. Xhaka goes down, fouled, free kick. Potentially a final bit of danger here for Colombia. Oh no, he's actually given it for an earlier foul to Colombia on this near side. Well, I thought it was Xhaka that was fouled, but the referee is adamant it was for an earlier foul on Munoz that he hadn't given because they had advantage. The 5 minutes are up, play doesn't get underway again, and that is it. A second half that, well, wasn't quite as good as the first in terms of opportunities and shots on goal, but there's nothing to separate these two sides right now. We're heading to extra time in Vancouver to find out who's going through to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. We'll be back with that extra time in a moment here on TalkSport, but it's finished at the end of the second half. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Thank you very much, Adrian. Yeah, I'd advise maybe having a gander through the notebook. Based on the second half, it may have been a little bit more interesting than some of the stuff we've witnessed between these two sides. But here we go, extra time, the 6th extra time of this World Cup, but the first in the round of 16, and it's coming between Switzerland and Colombia. We are ready to get underway in the first 15 minutes. The crowd are still dancing and happy, regardless of the colour persuasion of shirt, predominantly yellow for Colombia, of course, the red of Switzerland. It's Colombia to get us underway, kicking from right to left in this first 15 minutes of extra time. And Dean Ashton, Colombia need to do something, don't they? Because they were rotten in that second half.
They were, and I'm not saying that they conceded lots of chances, but they're fortunate to still have the opportunity for an extra 30 minutes with how poor and ineffective they were in that second half. So a lot more to give if they want to get through, or else it'll be penalties, of course.
Ruben Vargas, and of course he scored 2 goals in this World Cup. We knew he was an injury doubt before today, but clearly they feel the extra time, that 30 minutes, is just about the best he can manage. So he's come onto that right hand side, it looks, for Switzerland, or maybe the left hand side actually, as they look to attack, but they're defending on that far touchline at this moment in time because Colombia have the ball, and they have it with Rios in the middle. I will remind you of how the teams are lining up in a moment or two. Here's Luis Diaz down this left hand side, goes down, very cleverly wins the free kick off Sylvain Vidmar, who ended up making the challenge, and he certainly made the most of it as Luis Diaz.
He has, but it's similar to earlier on, where actually it was his poor touch that got him in towards the challenge and just got there just before Vidmar.
To be fair, it's the kind of touch from Vidmar that got a goal ruled out for Egypt earlier on, isn't it? If we're going to be honest, the faintest of touches. I'm not sure it's quite necessary for Diaz to redo all of his shin pads, his socks and everything else, because it really was on maybe his big toe, potentially. Quintero is over this free kick. It's level with the edge of the penalty area. It's about 3 or 4 yards out to the left-hand side of it. Davinson Sanchez could well be the target here for Quintero. Left-footed towards that back post. It's headed out by Granit Xhaka. And again, there's another attempt to win a penalty on that far side. It was a Tom Daley-esque dive, I think it's fair to say. And the referee not in the slightest bit interested. Granit Xhaka just saying to Davinson Sanchez, the two captains conversing, that, come on, that's a little bit silly.
Yeah, it's Campas who feels like he was caught by Muheim, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, he pulled out of it, maybe clash knees, but that was Campas that initiated the contact. It was an excellent ball in from Quintero that needed to be headed away brilliantly by Xhaka.
The referee certainly wasn't interested in the penalty, and VAR not interested in the penalty either, it would seem. So it's a goal kick for Switzerland away to our left-hand side. Cabelli's in goal. It's Muheim, Akanji, Elvedi and Vidmar across the back. Freuler and Xhaka and Sau in that central midfield. Vargas, Vida and Itten up front for Switzerland. For Colombia, Vargas is in goal. Munoz, Sanchez, Lukumi and Mojica across the back. Huerta, Rios and Campas in midfield, with Quintero, Hernandez and Diaz up top for the Colombians. As I mentioned, both have required extra time previously. Go back to 2014, Switzerland lost to Argentina. They also lost to Ukraine in the end in 2006. That one did go to a penalty shootout actually after it finished 0-0. Here comes Switzerland down the right hand side, just trying to get away from Davinson Sanchez, but Sanchez with the foul on Itten and gets himself a yellow card as well. There's a real tussle between those two, just over halfway, and Sanchez is the one that's punished, but I think it's a 6 and 1.5.
Yeah, I agree. Itten just got the head start away from Davinson Sanchez. What the referee can't see is that Itten had a little bit of Sanchez's shirt as well.
Garcia, our fourth official, in a very animated discussion with the Colombian bench right now over that decision, and I can see their frustration. Free kick to Switzerland, which they've taken quickly here, with Akanji striding forward down that left-hand side, out wide to the far touchline where they pick out Muheim, who goes all the way back to Cabello, away to our left-hand side, and Switzerland will look to build from the back. We've had 5 minutes of the first half of extra time on Talk Sport. It remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Jamie and Jason coming with the sports bar once we are done. Sean Messi will be on the agenda this evening, and his greatness after that goal today and the inspiring way he dragged Argentina back against Egypt when all looked lost. Yellow cards to the Colombian bench, not to Nestor Lorenzo, the coach, but to one of his assistants who was in that heated debate with the fourth official. Long ball forward, this time from Vargas, picks out the feet on the far side of Campaz, into touch for what will be a throw to Switzerland. He's involved in a lot, Campaz, but not of much quality so far.
No, he's got real energy and sharpness, hasn't he, over the first yard or two.
He scored a goal, of course, against Uzbekistan in the 99th minute. Now Vargas is down with a problem with his gluteus maximus, it would appear, and I think that's because Munoz has just kneed him in it.
Yeah, just he's been aggressive in the way that he's marked whoever he's played against, Ndoye or now Vargas. Made sure he doesn't want them to get on the ball and turn easily and get at him. Once again, referee just goes over, we can get on with the game.
Extra time record of Colombia is, well, again, I said they've needed it twice in the World Cup. 1990 they lost to Cameroon in the 30 minutes of extra time, 2-1, and of course they had extra time against England in 2018. That finished 1-1, ended up in a penalty shootout, and we all know what happened then in Russia. Down the right hand side here is Fabian Rieder for Switzerland. The challenge from Lukumi is a good one because Rieder's put it out of play, and it will be a goal kick for Colombia. Yakin is shaking his head at the edge of his technical area as Colombia look to build from the back. 7.5 minutes gone in this first period of extra time on Talk Sport. Away by Davinson Sanchez to the far side for Colombia. Cuts inside, does Campaz, has his shirt pulled by Muraim, gets it away to Luis Diaz. Diaz on the left-hand edge of the penalty area. It's just poor control from Diaz. He allowed and invited Sylvain Vidmar in with a challenge. He does win the corner, but I think he could have done a little bit better.
Oh, much better. Great position, 1v1 with the fullback after a great crossfield pass from Campaz, and then just a poor touch to allow Vidmar a chance to take the ball off him.
Corner for Colombia on the left hand side. Left footed down, swing, head onto the bar, onto the crossbar from close range. Keeper was beaten, but the woodwork denies. I think it was Lukumi who got up for the first header. It was an excellent cross, and the ball cannoning back, and the goal frame still rattling right now. Colombia still have it. Ball swung to the left edge of the penalty area. Quintero tried to take it down. He's the man who delivered the corner. Now Switzerland try and counter. Vidmar up towards halfway, and his pass goes astray as he tries to find Sau on this near touchline.
Yeah, the delivery. Quintero was outstanding. Got up so well. Did Lukumi. Just a head flush against the crossbar above Cobel. It's the closest we've come.
Much better from Colombia at the start of this extra time. Rios from long distance hits one that bounces just wide of the left hand post of Cobel, who had it covered all the time. Never really troubling the goalkeeper. Fairly ambitious as well, because that was about 35-40 yards out.
Oh, it was. Fiercely struck. That's one of those that gives the crowd a little ooh, gets them involved, but is nowhere near actually troubling the goalkeeper. Swerving 10 yards wide of the post. But Lukumi with the header, could he have done better? Yes, I think he could, because he was up so well, so high, saw the flight of the ball the whole way. Felt like more of a guided header rather than one that had real purpose into the back of the net.
We've almost had 10 minutes of this first period of extra time on Talk Sport. It remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Davinson Sanchez striding forward down that right-hand side for Colombia. Into touch off Akanji, and it will be a throw for Colombia about 35 yards out from goal. Taken short on that right-hand side by Munoz. Back on halfway with Davinson Sanchez again. Formerly of Spurs, of course. Has it 10 yards short of halfway. He finds Gustavo Puerta. Down the middle. Breaks a couple of lines with that pass, a nice one. Out wide on that right-hand side. Colombia on the attack again. Cutting inside, left-footed shot is driven, and Cabell has to spin it and turn it around the post. It was a long-range effort that was absolutely drilled in from Campas on his left foot. There may have been some late movement. Cabell looked like he had it covered, and in the end, he's just used his biceps to muscle it behind.
Must have had a little bit of movement. Players have talked about that try on the ball getting faster the further it goes.
Here's the corner, Cabell punches away, and he's fouled according to the referee. Just as Rios was going to try and put it back into the danger zone. Lukumi is penalised for the foul.
But it was such a great strike from Campas. Yes, it was from distance, but it had so much pace. It was getting quicker as it got towards Cabell. In the end, he used almost that volleyball technique, using the arms in a V shape to just control it behind for the corner rather than take any chance with it.
Only clean sheet of this World Cup for Cabell, of course, came against Algeria. That 0-0 I mentioned earlier that was a cracker against Portugal for Colombia actually ended a run of scoring in 11 matches in a row for the Colombians. It's like we're heading for another 0-0 here. 3 minutes of this first half of extra time to play. A place against Argentina in the quarter-finals up for grabs. Vargas is fouled on the far side. Rios with it. He doesn't want to get booked because he would miss any potential quarter-final. Another change coming for Switzerland, and we're going to see Amdouni coming on. Well, didn't see much of him for Burnley, of course, due to injury and stuff in the Premier League, but Reeder's going off. And Amdouni's going to enter the fray. He's got some skill.
Yeah, he has. He can finish if he gets a chance. And the Leeds United fans must be thinking, what's Okafor done to not get on?
He's still sat on the bench, regardless of the fact that Switzerland desperately need a goal here, and maybe they've got a chance of getting one. First touch inside the box, fired and saved. Brilliant stop low down to his left-hand side by Vargas, and it's an immediate bit of action for Amdouni. His first touch is beaten away by Vargas. The offside flag is now up, but what an introduction to the game that would have been.
Oh, wouldn't it? He does so well just to sort his feet out and get a really good strike away, Amdouni, because it's really tight in there. Players in his way, hits it into the floor to the left-hand side of Rio Vargas, who gets down well to parry it to safety. Instant impact from Amdouni.
Well, for some reason they were very sloppy defensively. Vargas got to the byline and kept the ball alive. He was the only one who was there. It was Itten that set it up for Amdouni's shot, and Vargas had to be alert to the danger. Well, that would have been some introduction for Zeki Amdouni, but it's still, the deadlock is not broken between these two. It remains 0-0. And in our second competitive meeting, it was 1994 in the US in a World Cup. Colombia won 2-0 that day. Game in Stanford. There's another foul, free kick, and it looks like Muheim is going into the book.
Happens. As tiredness kicks in, as tension builds. See more and more of this in extra time. Players giving fouls away rather than dealing defensively with the opposition. Just give a foul away.
Yeah, Campas met with an elbow to the chest there. We're going to have added time at the end of this first half. Just a minute has been added on by the referee. Throw down this left-hand side for Colombia. Now this near touchline, Diaz takes it, gets it into the feet this time of Cucho Hernandez. Here's Rios towards the edge of the box, still going. Rios sets it up for Luis Diaz, who gets the shot that's blocked. Inside the penalty area, Vidmar across. Didn't really get power behind it. It was a little bit behind him, I think, but he has won the corner.
Rios, first part excellent, beautiful touch, gets past Akanji, and then a poor pass. Just didn't have enough pace on it to get to Diaz. Diaz then had to check his stride, try and hook his foot around it. Too many defenders there, got blocked. That pass needed to be in front of him to go onto it and hit it with his left foot.
Quintero is going to deliver the corner again from this left-hand side. Last time round, Lukumi headed it against the woodwork, and the referee again going into the box to tell them all, I'm watching you all. Lukumi and Xhaka, they're having a little cuddle there as well. Quintero to deliver then, left-footed, edge of the 6-yard box, it's half-headed away, and that probably will be the end of the first period of extra time. And Dean Ashton, that was much better from Colombia.
It was. We definitely saw a bit more energy about them. They were flat in the second half of regular time. Much more about them. I thought they had the better of that first half of extra time.
Miami calling, it's half-time at extra time. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. Well, the Colombians are still singing and dancing, as you would, because they're still in this. They're still on course potentially for a quarter-final against Argentina. 5 Europeans, 1 South American, 1 African so far in the quarter-finals of this World Cup in North America. 15 minutes of extra time to play. Otherwise, we're heading to a penalty shootout. And it's Switzerland who are kicking from right to left. All in red at the start of this second half of extra time. The Colombians in their yellow shirts, white shorts and white socks. No more changes during that half-time break. Akanji with the ball out wide to the right-hand side, where it's picked out by Vidmar. The Mainz defender, offside flag, or a flag for a foul on that far side, and Davinson Sanchez is getting a little bit tetchy. He's already been booked, needs to be careful here. It will be a free kick for Colombia, and Itten, or in fact the referee just calling Davinson Sanchez back, and I think he's probably saying, look, just calm down.
He's saying, shake hands, get on with it, chaps. But pull from Itten to get himself caught offside.
Tired bodies out there now.
It is, and again, the magnitude of the game, to be brave in these moments, very, very difficult. It's much easier to sit and hold.
It is. There's bundled over in the penalty area. The Swiss defender Elvedi. There's a long one punted forward. This Diaz was in there again, but Elvedi taken down. Diaz as well. A little bit more influential, but not much more in the extra time. Everything seemed to be coming courtesy of Quintero and Campas for Colombia. Here's Cabell with the clearance. We've had 2 minutes of the second half of extra time already on TalkSport. Don't forget the sports bar coming up with Jamie and Jason. I'm sure that we won't be seeing any sombreros and outfits tonight. That was all the fun of last night. If you look across some of our socials, I was laughing my head off, I think it's fair to say. Away on that left-hand side with possession, Mojica. I did actually hear the Rafa Benitez earlier on today with Jim White and Simon Jordan. By the end of it, I was quite confused about why he was leaving Panathinaikos, but I think the goalpost kept moving was the general gist of it. It's well worth checking out, as Adrian mentioned, via talksport.com and also across our social channels.
I certainly think it'd be a surprise if he did pop up in England.
He was certainly touting his CV. I think there's no two ways about that. He also quoted the fact that the average time for a head coach now in some European leagues is 7 months.
Wow.
Whereas obviously when he got to Liverpool, it was signed a 5-year contract. So I think those days are long gone for so many, for sure. 3 minutes gone in this second period of extra time. Or if we're being American, probably overtime, I think they would probably call it. Here's Akanji, midway inside the Switzerland half. On he goes, just trying to pick out and provide Amdouni with the pass. Then there's a foul, sloppy foul from Amdouni, and another free kick for Colombia midway inside their own half.
Yeah, the game's just not able to get any flow. Too many fouls, too many stoppages, and both sets of players playing at a very slow tempo.
Forward it goes for Colombia, down this right-hand side. Munoz, referee plays advantage, felt Munoz was foul, but allowed it to go. Cucho Hernandez, into the feet of Gustavo Puerta. Now to this right-hand side, Davinson Sanchez, picked up by Juan Quintero. There's bodies in the box here, Rios is one of them, and now it's Munoz down that right-hand side, but it's well defended by Akanji, and the deflection takes out of play for a goal kick to Switzerland.
Yeah, I've got to say, Elvedi and Akanji have been absolutely outstanding. Again, such a good partnership. Experience, pace, calmness, good on the ball as well, especially Akanji going forwards.
3:23 local time, 11:23 in the UK, and it remains Switzerland 0, Colombia 0 on Talk Sport. Xhaka just back to Elvedi, who's midway inside his own half, finds Xhaka just short of halfway and at the edge of the centre circle. Then there's Akanji, patient from Switzerland, who, I'll be honest, the players look quite tired on the ball. 10 minutes of this extra time to play, and then we're heading to spot kicks to decide who faces Argentina, who will be lapping up the fact that this game has gone to extra time. Sunday morning, 2 a.m. UK time on TalkSport. That's after, of course, England have taken on Norway. That game at 10 p.m. Spain against Belgium is your game on Friday at 8. As you heard Adrian mention, France-Morocco Thursday at 9 with an all-Argentinian refereeing team. 9 minutes to go. Ping to this near side for Switzerland, but shepherded down in the penalty area, and Munoz safely sees the ball into the arms of Vargas in the Colombian goal.
Lovely that from Quintero. So calm just to head that back to his goalkeeper.
Campas infield to Quintero, fouled by Amdouni. Another free kick for Colombia, just short of halfway. Taken short, here is Quintero, out to this near side. Taken down by Campas. Back to Davinson Sanchez. Lukumi out wide on that far side to Luis Diaz, who's still ploughing away on that left-hand touchline for Colombia. Just about keeps the ball in play. Right-footed, switches the ball to this right-hand side. Picked out by Quintero. Quintero on his left foot and just fires it high and wide.
Yeah, he just used the overlapping run of Daniel Munoz to jink inside onto his left foot and wanting to curl that into the far corner. Really wanted to hit it with the laces, try and knuckle it into that far corner. Got it horribly wrong and just went high and up and over the top.
8 minutes remaining. 0-0. We're heading towards penalty kicks unless one of these two sides can find a goal from somewhere. Sylvain Widmer, infield to Xhaka, switches it to the left-hand side. Here's the substitute, Ruben Vargas, finds Muheim, right-footed from Vargas in, headed away. Once more it's picked up, this time by Elvedi at the edge of the centre circle. Muheim once more, in towards Granit Xhaka. Here's Vargas on this near side. Vargas on the charge. Xhaka with a shot, and he just feeds it over the top of the crossbar. Very patient, not much power in it, just tried to lift it towards the top corner, but it's high and wide.
Yeah, he's disappointed with himself. Lovely from Vargas, just draws two defenders in towards him. Leaves Xhaka free to poke it to the left-hand side of the penalty area. It was a tired effort from Xhaka. He took one step onto it, looked to curl it up and over Camilo Vargas, and just flicked it over with no real quality to the effort. Just tried to guide it.
We've had nearly 4 minutes, sorry, 14 minutes should I say. 6 to go. Here's the throw for Switzerland. Vargas down this left-hand side into the penalty area. Nodded out towards the edge of the box. Amdouni is there. Doesn't quite fall for him. Oh, and there's another foul this time. Even a handball. Amdouni's just looking to say, what? Me? 6 to go. 0-0.
Yeah, again, chance to strike. Took too long. You can't. Colombia were all over him. Forced him into the handball.
Spot kicks Beckham in Vancouver. Nestor Lorenzo still at the edge of his technical area, pulling and prodding his Colombian players around in that formation just to try and find a way through against Switzerland. Oh, that's come down nicely. Here's a chance for Campas. Oh, he's fired it over. Error at the back. Campas inside the box, 8 yards out, over the top of the crossbar.
Oh, it's huge. Huge chance. Talked about them being so good defensively. It was Xhaka who just delayed, flicking it away from Munoz. Got into the path of Cambaz. He runs forwards towards the goalkeeper, just going to open his body up, flick it to the other side. Just prods it over. Again, no real conviction with the finish. That just needed to be side-footed into the corner. Tried to be a bit clever with a scoop, and up and over it went. Big chance.
I don't think Nestor Lorenzo can quite believe what he's just seen there from Jamilton Campas. There's a foul on Luis Diaz. Colombia ending the extra time the stronger of the two sides right now. What a chance for Campas. Cannot believe he's missed that.
No. On his left foot as well, as he opened his body up. Just needed to be fed into the far corner. Just a pass, really. Tried to put it in the top. You don't need to put it in the top corner. Just needs to be lifted over the goalkeeper and in.
Here comes the noise from the Colombian fans. The foul by Elvedi and Vidmar, between the two of them. It was a Luis Diaz sandwich. Free kick, left-hand side. Lifted in and nodded across the face of goal. Kept alive by Rios on this near side. Back into the danger zone. Diaz is there. Cleared away. Right-footed by Sao on that far side. It was a good delivery from Quintero again. And out of play for a throw to Colombia on that far side. Looks like Lukumi is down in the penalty area. Probably cramp, I'm going to assume, given we are in the 117th minute of this game. And Munoz, his teammates are saying, come on, play the pass, but he's actually going to put it out of play so he can receive some treatment. Just cramp.
Well, again, if they've stopped the game for him, you'd think you'd have to go off for a minute. Obviously, Colombia can't play it because he'd be offside, but he's not sure he can continue.
I was going to say, Lukumi is saying, I'm done. You need to substitute me. There are 2.5 minutes of extra time left to play. Plus now there'll be a little bit of stoppage time on top of that. Luis Diaz is going to try and help him up, to help him off. I say it's just cramp. As one who's not run around for 120 minutes and got cramp, I'm sure it's quite uncomfortable.
Oh, it is. It is. You never just had that just lying in bed?
Well, yeah, but not through this kind of amount of physical activity.
No, it is painful. Yeah, Lukumi, you can see both legs have gone. It's totally seized. The referee's just telling him to leave at the nearest point so we can get on with the game. Look, we're all thinking it now, aren't we? We want penalties.
Well, Yerry Mina's coming on. He can score a goal. 3 World Cup appearances to his name, and he's got 3 goals, all of which came in Russia in 2018. Of course, he got that equalising goal against England, which took the game then to extra time and ultimately to penalties. And the 31-year-old is on. He was left out of the squad for those friendlies against France and Croatia I mentioned earlier, but I think his experience and his form at the end of the season from Cagliari won over Nestor Lorenzo to pick him, and maybe just that little bit of World Cup experience that he brings to the party. A minute plus added time at the end of extra time to play. Here is Granit Xhaka slipping a ball in for Vargas. Vargas down the left-hand side, pulls it back across into the Colombian penalty area, and it's cleared away on this near side, and left-footed Quintero will get it away for the South American team. And now he's continued his run down this left-hand side. He gets it back, but he can't control it on halfway, and out of play it goes for a throw-in to Switzerland.
Yeah, no one's really got control at all. I think the game's just played its way out. Be amazed if there's anything late on.
Foul by Itten on Mina. Free kick for Colombia. Over the edge of their own penalty area, this is going to be taken. We are into the dying seconds. The Colombian supporters raise the roof one more time in Vancouver, just to try and inspire their side on, as we wait to find out how many additional minutes. And it's going to be 3. No, it's going to be 1. Looked like 3, it's just 1. And I thought the injury to Mina enough would have been sufficient for a couple of minutes, but it's just 1 minute and then we're into penalties.
Yeah, they don't deserve any more. 1 is a gift as it is.
I think based on the merit of the 90, you should then to be able to decide whether you go straight to penalties or not.
Great idea.
I think tonight would have been the case.
Get Arsene Wenger on that.
Switzerland playing around with it at the edge of their own penalty area. Chasing after them is Cucho Hernandez. It's away by Cabell. Taken down and controlled by Mina. Goes back to Camilo Vargas. His long ball forward is intercepted. Switzerland have it. Left-footed ball down this near touchline. The chase is on for Amdouni. Mina's there to hold it up. And the referee says enough is enough. And we are heading to a penalty shootout in Vancouver to decide who will face Argentina in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. After 120 minutes, neither ever looked like they were going to score. It's finished. Switzerland 0, Colombia 0, and penalties on the way. Well, they've both participated in 1 World Cup penalty shootout, and they both have lost 1 World Cup penalty shootout. Switzerland took on Ukraine in 2006. They missed all 3 penalties and lost 3-0, which is a rare treat. And of course, we know that Colombia lost to England 4-3 in Russia. In Copa history, they've won 4 and lost 4. 3 of those defeats coming against Argentina. So here we go. Penalty shootout time. Juan Quintero is going to take first for Colombia. Cabell, who's saved 10 penalties in his career, is going to be in goal. And this is a very long run-up for Quintero to start with. The rest of the Colombian players are all arm in arm around the centre circle. Here comes Quintero then. It's going to be left-footed. First penalty for Colombia. And he drives it down the middle. Keeper goes the wrong way. Excellent penalty. Plenty of power. Good placement.
Proper penalty. Why don't we see that more often? I'm sure Stuart Pearce loved that. Left-footed, Quintero put his laces right through the back of the ball, straight down the middle. to get Colombia off the mark.
Couldn't ask for any more from Quintero, really, than that penalty kick. I think, is it Mina that's... Yeah, Yerry Mina is just stoking things up. Granit Xhaka is stepping forward here for Switzerland. The captain, the man who is making his 151st appearance for his country against Vargas, who in his career has saved 19 penalties. And he had saved a few last season as well in his domestic competition in his own country. Here comes Xhaka, and he gets a hand to it, but just palms it into the top corner. Xhaka scores, keeper gets the right way, but it's one apiece.
Oh, he's so close. Camilo Vargas, side foot from Xhaka. He gets his top left hand to it as he dives to his right, just palms it into the top corner. Xhaka doesn't care. It's in the back of the net.
Yeah, Vargas plays at Atlas in Mexico, where he did have a good campaign when it came to saving penalties. And we've seen already with his first effort there, he wasn't too far away. Up steps Davinson Sanchez. Missed against Argentina in the 2021 Copa America semi-final shootout. What can he do against Gregor Kobel of Switzerland, who is bouncing around on his goal line? Davinson Sanchez is going to take this one right-footed. He too, with a fairly long run up to the edge of the penalty area. Kobel on his line, bouncing around. Here comes Sanchez, right-footed, off the underside of the bar, and out. He's missed. Sanchez went for power. It was brutal force, and it's the first miss of the competition. It stays 1-1.
Well, you're right. So much power on this, but in the end, so unlucky. Just rattling the underside of the bar, falling directly on the line, but bouncing out.
Well, the Colombian captain, in the absence of James Rodriguez, goes back to his teammates, absolutely distraught at that miss. Here's Zeki Amdouni, the Burnley man. He scored in that shootout against England in Euro 2024 in that quarter-final that they lost. Here he is against Vargas. Short run up, 2 or 3 paces, stood directly behind the ball. It's going to be a right footer from Amdouni, and he sends the keeper the wrong way with a stutter, and Switzerland have the advantage. After 2 penalties each, they lead 2-1.
So calm. We've seen those stuttering penalties not be very successful in this World Cup, but he just stared at Vargas the whole time. As soon as he made a little move, Amdouni just calmly slotted it in the opposite direction.
Well, here comes Campas, the Rosario central forward, scored that goal against Uzbekistan in the 99th minute in that victory they secured by 3-1. Missed the best chance of the game in extra time for Colombia. Now he has a penalty. Oh, it's gone under the keeper. The keeper guessed the right way, low down to his left-hand side, but somehow that ball has sneaked through and hit the back of the net to make it 2-2.
Oh, it's the one thing as a goalkeeper. You have to really spring to one side, but as you do that, you do leave the floor. Just went right between his elbow and his hip. Kobel, he was right across, he'd guessed it, couldn't get to it.
Akanji missed against England at Euro 2024. Switzerland, remember, have lost 4 of their 5 shootouts at World Cups and Euros. Their only win was against France in Euro 2020 in the round of 16. What can Akanji do here? Right-footed against Vargas, who got close to the first one, not close to Switzerland's second. How about number 3? Stutter, oh, it's over the bar, straight down the middle, over the crossbar from Akanji. He missed against England at the Euros, and he misses against Colombia at the World Cup. And after 3 penalties, we're all square at 2-2.
You won't see many worse penalties than that. No real confidence, really did scoop it over. Wasn't a proper stutter either, and then almost fell over as he took the strike. Way up and over it went. Incredible.
The quality of that penalty, very much similar to the quality of the game. Awful. Here's Cucho Hernandez, the Real Betis forward. Another ex-Watford player. He's run up his way to the left-hand side. So he's going right-footed here, and it's saved by Cabell away to his right-hand side. It's a terrific stop. Perfect height, but the penalty was tucked in the corner. But it's a brilliant save from Gregor Cabell. And Switzerland very much in the ascendancy now as Colombia miss a second spot kick.
What a save. Nothing you can say about Hernandez. His penalty was brilliant. But then Cabell, it took all of his tall, lean frame to dive to his right-hand side and claw it away. Brilliant, brilliant goalkeeping.
Cedric Itten steps forward, came on as a substitute in the game. This to give Switzerland the advantage. It's 2-2 right now. This is the Swiss's fourth penalty. Again, Itten, very short run-up. Is it going to be one of those stuttering spot kicks? Vargas stands tall in the middle of the goal. Right down the centre he goes. Pinpoint accuracy from Itten. Vargas dives to his right, and Switzerland have the advantage. 4 penalties done each. It's Switzerland 3, Colombia 2. And if Colombia don't score this, the Swiss are in to the quarter-finals.
I really like that penalty though. Really controlled side foot, but down the middle with pace. And now there can be no mistakes.
And who do you turn to when you can't afford a mistake? You turn to Luis Diaz. 23 goals for his country. 26 goals this season for Bayern Munich. Has to score this or Colombia are out of the World Cup. It's Diaz against Cabell. Stutters his run up and puts it into the bottom corner. Low away to his left hand side. Cabell didn't really commit too far to the opposite side, but it ties things up at 3 apiece. But Switzerland have a chance to win it.
Well, it's easily the best thing he's done in the game. Really cool, whips it across into the corner. Cabell goes the opposite way. He's done his job. He's now put the pressure back on Switzerland.
And it is going to be the man who we know is carrying an injury, only came on for extra time. Ruben Vargas. You may read in our transfer notebook he's a potential target for West Ham United. Is Vargas, currently playing at Sevilla. He has the chance to put Switzerland into the quarter-finals. Ruben Vargas then to win it for the Swiss. They lead, so it's 3-3. This is their 5th penalty. Vargas from 12 yards. 2 deep breaths. Couple of steps to his left. Forward he comes into the bottom corner. And Vargas does it. And Switzerland roll on to their first World Cup quarter-final in 72 years. And it's Ruben Vargas with the penalty to win it for them into the bottom corner. They have success in a World Cup shootout for the first time. And Colombia are out. It's a 6th European team into the quarter-finals, and Switzerland will face Argentina in Kansas City in the early hours of Sunday morning. They are finally into a quarter-final. The celebrations are wild. Xhaka cuddles Yakin, and the Swiss players cannot believe it, nor can the small pocket of supporters inside the stadium in Vancouver. 72 long years, 1954, the last time they reached the quarter-finals. But one of the most consistent sides in the world in major tournaments are through to the last 8 of the World Cup. It finished 0-0 after extra time, but it's victory on penalties to Switzerland, 4-3.